from the Nationwide News Network. Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Education Minister Favour Williams says natural hairstyles should not be an issue come September.
There are students who attend schools with locks, and they are okay, they are embraced, they're doing well.
The Senate approves bill paving the way for amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution.
But the amendment sparks a clash between Government Senator Abka Fitz-Henley and Opposition Senator Lambert Brown, who charged that the Holness administration was pursuing an inappropriate approach to constitutional reform.
The BOJ says local banks and other deposit-taking institutions no longer charging fees on dormant accounts.
There's no financial institution that is charging for dormancy fees. And
Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby admits that the wrong done under slavery by the church cannot be undone.
In news from the rest of the world, at least 3 dead in Haiti after boat catches fire during escape attempt.
Global IT chaos persisting as CrowdStrike boss admits outage could take time to fix.
In headline sports, hammer thrower Nayoka Cluny's case now with Court of Arbitration for Sport.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the National Works Agency says work is to begin next week on reconstructing the Troy Bridge in Trelawney after its collapse in 2021. Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask Janelle or Noah. Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. And message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And in the nation's business at 6:40, Deputy Governor in the Financial Institution Supervisory Division at the Central Bank, Dr. G.D. Lewis, says the practice of charging fees on dormant accounts at deposit-taking institutions ended 3 years ago.
there is no DTI currently that levies a charge for the management of dormant accounts.
You'll hear more.
At 7, the ban on plastic lunch boxes and personal care products with microplastics took effect on July 1. Minister with responsibility for the environment, Senator Matthew Samuda, will join us.
And at 8 this evening, the nationwide team will join us live from Reggae Sumfest 2024. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, July 19, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Education Minister Favour Williams says she doesn't believe issues related to natural hairstyles will be a major issue in schools come September. Minister Williams was speaking today at a media conference at the Education Ministry's office in Kingston. Mahira Stewart reports.
The Court of Appeal ruled on Monday that Kensington Primary School breached the constitutional rights of a child when it denied her access to the school because she had dreadlocks. The ruling partly overturned a July 2020 decision by the Constitutional Court, which found that none of the child's constitutional rights had been breached. That ruling had triggered widespread public outcry. Former President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Patrick Brooks, wrote that the school's policy against dreadlocks breached the child's rights to freedom of expression and equitable treatment by a public authority. Minister Williams says Jamaica has seen many students attend school with dreadlocks without any issues.
I just want it to be said that within the school system, within the education system currently, in several schools, there are students who attend schools with locks. And they are okay, they are embraced, they're doing well. If you will recall, last year, I made it known that no child should be required to wear covering on their hair if they have locks. And the schools that have been doing that, they've stopped requiring it.
She believes issues regarding the wearing of natural hairstyles in school will not be a prominent one come the start of the next school year.
We're not expecting that we're going to have a major issue come September, because where we are as a society today, just listening to what people are saying, there's a full embrace of our culture, our hair, our African heritage, and so on.
The education minister says her ministry reviews policies set by schools to ensure there are no rules that might be discriminatory to students. However, Minister Williams is still urging parents to ensure that students wear simplified hairstyles to school.
The dress and grooming policy is a framework for schools against which we will measure the individual school's policy, right? So, for example, every school should have a written dress and grooming policy. It should not be discriminatory. So when we look at that, those are some of the things that we're looking for to ensure that they are in compliance. In the framework, we will emphasize our natural hair and the embrace that we should have of that. And I would have said this many, many times to parents, to please send their children to school with simple hairstyle. So there's a balance, and we will continue with that message to all our parents in our schools.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Upper House has approved a bill which paves the way for amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution. The amendment provides for new words of enactment in the Constitution, which, among other things, replaces the phrase the Queen or the King with the Parliament of Jamaica. Government Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith led the debate on the bill in the Senate on Friday.
Laws passed within our Parliament are still enacted by the words, the Queen's or the King's most excellent majesty. And this is because the Constitution sets out how bills are enacted. It does so under Section 61, and this bill seeks to amend those words of enactment by prescribing new words which reflect the autonomy of Parliament. The Jamaica Constitution Order in Council 1962, made at the court at Buckingham Palace in England on the 23rd of July 1962 by virtue of Section 5, subsection 1 of the West Indies Act 1962. So our Constitution is actually a schedule to a British document. Some things just need to move forward, and the Jamaicanization of our Constitution is one of these things.
Senator Johnson-Smith says the bill is one of the legislative steps being taken by the government as it pushes towards making Jamaica a republic.
The government firmly believes that it is important to express supreme authority of Parliament of Jamaica in all legislative matters. And very importantly, Mr. President, the proposed amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution is an important step on our road to becoming a republic. Having replaced the words of enactment for all bills of Parliament, when the bill to transition Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic is passed, it will state that the enactment is made by the Parliament of Jamaica.
Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, all 11 government senators who were present in the chamber voted for the bill. 4 opposition senators voted in favor of the amendment, while opposition Senator Lambert Brown abstained.
Meanwhile, Government Senator Abke Fitz-Henley has dismissed a suggestion by opposition Senator Lambert Brown that the Holness administration was pursuing an inappropriate approach to constitutional reform. Fitz-Henley and Brown sparred on Friday during the debate on the bill to amend Section 61 of the Constitution. We have more in this report from Shalois Michael.
During discussion on the process of Jamaica becoming a republic, Senator Brown accused the government of pursuing what he described as an inappropriate bits and pieces approach to constitutional reform. He told Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith that the government should recall that when in opposition, it objected to such an approach to legislative amendments.
She was the mistress of piecemeal. She was anti-piecemeal. So for this bill to come as a piecemeal to the bigger constitutional reform committee work is surprising, and it's not necessary.
But things took a turn when Government Senator Abka Fitz-Henley reminded the upper house of a statement made by opposition leader Mark Golding in 2022. In that statement, Mr. Golding told the government that the opposition will not delay in supporting the move of Jamaica becoming a republic. Senator Fitz-Henley accused the opposition of flip-flopping on their promise.
That sort of posture, sir, I think might best be contemplated as a case of untrustworthy flip-flopping by the opposition and the opposition leader, who last we heard was under the force of law of the United Kingdom. Partisanship aside, I'd encourage your opposition to go back to the drawing board and support the various processes and legislation which are brought to the Parliament of Jamaica by the government of Jamaica as we move towards the posing of the UK monarchy and reaffirming the Jamaican identity.
Senator Brown and Senator Fitz-Henley sparred again when the opposition senator told the upper house that he has never read the Parliament's oath which swears allegiance to the Queen.
If in 2002, on the road to becoming republic, P.J. Patterson had not changed the oath act. Minister mentioned it. But that was part of the road to the republic, because the oath at that time, President, required those of us who would come to this chamber to swear allegiance to Her Majesty, her heirs and successors according to law. And that was offensive to me. In all my time in the Senate, I've never read the prayers being proffered here because of certain words in that prayer.
Senator Fitz-Henley accused the Senator Brown of hypocrisy.
The senator spoke about not reading the prayer in Parliament or, being particular about swearing allegiance to the monarch. But here's a senator addressing the Parliament of Jamaica and making those bold statements when in fact he's part of an organization which, last we heard, was being led by an individual who is under the force of British law and a subject of the United Kingdom. That, sir, is a good example of hypocrisy that oftentimes marinates the contribution of the member. Hypocrisy.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
13 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Continuing the news, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Dr. G.D. Lewis, says local banks and other deposit-taking institutions, DTIs, have stopped charging fees on dormant accounts. He made the revelation at Thursday's sitting of Parliament's Economy and Production Committee. Robin Williams reports.
The BOJ Deputy Governor told the Economy and Production Committee of Parliament that banks and other DTIs have moved away from applying fees to dormant accounts.
There is no DTI currently that levies a charge for the management of dormant accounts. That practice would have ended across the sector over 3 years ago.
According to Dr. G.D. Lewis, the practice was discontinued when DTIs switched from manual management systems to technological ones.
The reason cited by licensees is that previously when they had manual processes, they had to employ labor to administer these accounts which had gone dormant to ensure that nobody has access to the account, making sure that all the KYC documentation is up to date and other requirements that they would have. Two banks in particular had deployed technological solutions to allow them to effect those administrative processes, and hence they felt that there was no more need to have an administrative fee for that. They absorbed that and used technology to allow them to meet their obligation. So that was back at least 2.5 years ago.
Meanwhile, Dr. Lewis says all banks have also introduced a transaction monitoring system that triggers an alert when bank employers are accessing dormant accounts. He says this is a fraud prevention mechanism.
I can say now very confident that all banks have that system deployed, and therefore there's a technological solution that has been used to allow them to meet the administrative obligations under our guidance notes and ultimately under the Proceeds of Crime Act.
Committee member Anthony Hilton said the development was welcome, as he has long suspected that banking staff could have been involved in fleecing dormant accounts. Robianne Williams for Nationwide News.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, says he believes the local Anglican Church is doing enough to help Jamaica amid discussions about reparations and the Church's historical role in slavery. Archbishop Welby, who is on a 4-day visit to the island, was asked about the issue at a media briefing today. Dana Davey reports.
The Archbishop of Canterbury's visit to Jamaica is one of the events celebrating the historic 200th anniversary of the Anglican Diocese of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. The Church's role in slavery and the vision for reconciliation, renewal, and transformation are the major themes of Archbishop Justin Welby's visit. At a media briefing on Friday, Welby noted that the Church's decision to establish a £100 million endowment fund is part of its efforts to address past wrongs.
A year ago, we announced that we were setting up a £100 million endowment fund, permanent endowment, which will be created steadily over the next 10 years from Church Commissioners' money and will be used for impact investment for the use of income from those monies to create social impact funds, to create impact investment for a better future.
The fund was established after a report commissioned by the Audit and Risk Committee of the Church Commissioners found that the organization had benefited from African enslavement. The report says the church received the equivalent of £1 billion in today's value from slavery. In March this year, the committee recommended that the Anglican Church raise up to £1 billion for a new fund. According to the committee, the £100 million set aside in the endowment fund is not enough to right the wrongs of slavery. Archbishop Welby admitted that the wrong that has been done by the church cannot be undone.
Not to compensate. The sin is to equally half compensate for sin, but as a very inadequate gesture of profound repentance.
But he says he believes that the local church is doing all it can in service to Jamaica.
Yes, I do. I believe that the way that we act as the church, to quote someone, we do what God gives us the resources to do, and the rest is up to God.
Archbishop Welby.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
At least 3 people are dead and up to 40 others remain missing after a boat caught fire off northern Haiti on Friday. Reports are that up to 80 Haitians were on board the vessel. They were trying to escape to the Turks and Caicos Islands. Civil protection official Jean-Henri Petit says at least 31 people have been rescued by the Haitian Coast Guard. A spokesperson for the police in Cap Haitian, Arnold Jean says the captain of the boat is among the dead. Henry Petit says the fire likely started when 2 drums of gasoline ignited. According to a witness, passengers were drinking rum and whiskey, which may have come into contact with the flammable substance causing the fire.
The boss of the cybersecurity firm responsible for worldwide IT outages is admitting it could be some time before all systems are back up and running. While the software bug has been fixed, experts say the manual reboot of each affected Microsoft computer will take a huge amount of work. Thousands of flights have been cancelled, with banking, healthcare, and payment systems affected. United Airlines says it has resumed some flights, but the U.S. airline says it expects schedule disruption throughout the day as it continues to troubleshoot many systems and programs. For those traveling today, it says it has issued a travel waiver to make it easier for passengers to change their plans.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Education Minister Favour Williams says natural hairstyles should not be an issue come September.
The Senate approves bill paving the way for amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution.
But the amendment sparked a clash between Government Senator Abga Fitz-Henley and Opposition Senator Lambert Brown, who charged that the Holness administration was pursuing an inappropriate approach to constitutional reform.
The BOJ says local banks and other deposit-taking institutions no longer charging fees on dormant accounts.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, is admitting that the wrong done under slavery by the church cannot be undone. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
Kingston, it's your time! The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs will be hosting a town hall meeting on Thursday, July 25 at the Emancipation Park beginning at 7 p.m. Come and ask your questions on the recommendations of Jamaica becoming a republic and lend your voice to the process. That's the MLCA town hall meeting on July 25 at Emancipation Park at 7 p.m. Let's join the journey on the road to republic.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Sprint star Shelley and Fraser Price and Unanite Wisdom, the diver, who will be attending their last Olympic Games, have been named the co-captains of Jamaica's team to the Games of the 33rd Olympiad in Paris. The announcement was made today by the Jamaica Olympic Association at a media briefing held at their headquarters in Kingston. Fraser Price has qualified for her 5th Olympic Games, while Knight Wisdom will be attending his 3rd. Meanwhile, triple jump star Shanika Ricketts and the swimmer Josh Curlew will carry the Jamaica flag at the opening ceremony next Friday. JOA President Chris Samuda says he's confident the 4 individuals selected are deserving of the special roles.
Certainly we look on the performance, but also importantly we look on the attributes of the person. We look for leadership, we look for integrity, we look for humility, we look for an ability to coalesce and to unite persons. And that, of course, are the attributes of a leader. So those are the essential qualities, human qualities that we look for, more importantly than the performance. Standard bearers are what we look for, and that is fact influenced our decision in terms of selection of the captain and selection of the flag bearers.
Samuda says it was important they take the unusual step of naming the captains and flag bearers well ahead of the games.
Plan in advance. Just like how we treat our management teams, we have selected our management teams 3-4 years in advance, and we thought that it is best to do that rather than just simply announce it at the games. We certainly want the media here to have full information so that they can do interest stories surrounding our flag bearers, surrounding our captains. When you announce in the game, sometimes it gets lost in a lot of the information, a lot of the happenings at the games.
Meanwhile, most of the JOA management team is already in Paris, preparing to receive the athletes when they arrive next week, and Samuda says things are progressing smoothly.
Everybody seems to be very comfortable. Majority of our management teams are already there. They're ensuring that everything is seamless to receive the athletes. If we look at the Tokyo experience, that was absolutely seamless. We were able to ensure that our athletes were met, their transition to the Olympic Village. It was very comfortable. And what we really look for is that ensuring that the athletes themselves understand that there is a system in place that not only protects them in terms of their comfort, but the system is there to make them do well.
President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Chris Samuda, the JOA will also celebrate the reallocation of medals to Bev McDonald, Khalees Spencer Carter, and Chelsea Hammond Ross with a special function on August 9, the day they'll be presented with their medals. Celebrations are also planned for Jamaica's Independence Day, August 6, and a JOA Day on August 7. National hammer throw record holder Naoki Clunis should know by Sunday if he will be allowed to compete at the Olympic Games in Paris. Clunis was selected to represent Jamaica at the Olympic Games after meeting the qualifying standards. However, her name was not submitted to World Athletics as a member of the team. Clunis' national record throw of 71 meters 93 in May puts her in the top 32 in the world this year. When World Athletics released the names of the 32 competitors for the hammer throw event in Paris, Clunis' name was missing, and the J3A says it was a technical glitch caused by Hurricane Beryl, why her name was not submitted. Irked by the silence of the J3As as to their next move, Clunis asked her lawyers to write to the Court of Arbitration for Sport should there have been no response from the J3As by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. The case is now with CAS and a panel of Dr. Annabelle Bennett, KC of Australia, Karine Dupiron of France, and Kristen Thornes will hold a hearing with the parties tomorrow and a ruling expected by Sunday. 14 Jamaican athletes are down to compete in the United States today at the Holloway Pro Classic in Gainesville, Florida. The University of Florida to be exact, the final stop of the Puma America Track League Series. Newly minted national 200 meters champion Brian Lavelle will be engaged in one of the marquee matchups of the day. He will face Aaron Knighton in a crack half-lap event. Javian Thomas and Javon Powell will also be in the lineup along with Jesophi Lyles, the brother of world champion Noah. Demish Gay is entered for the men's 400 meters, where he'll face the world leader and the new sensation, 16-year-old schoolboy Quincy Wilson, who finished the 6th at the U.S. Nationals, but he's going to the Olympic Games as a member of their mile relay team. Sandre Davidson and Julian Fort will contest the men's 100 meters, along with Nigel Ellis, Jazeel Murphy, and Deshaun Smith. Tyler Mason is down to compete in the 110 meters high hurdles, while O'Brien Wasom will go in the men's triple jump. Candice McLeod is in the women's 400 meters. Yannick Thompson will enter a crack 100 meters hurdles field with the world leader Masai Russell of the USA, Grace Stark, who is ranked number 3 in the world with 12:31, along with the world record holder Toby Amusan of Nigeria with a season's best 12.40. Rhonda White will line up in the women's 400 meters hurdles. The West Indies produced easily their best day so far on the current tour of England. They closed in on the home team's 416 all-out at the close on day 2 of the second test at Trent Bridge in Nottingham. Cavem Hodge was the star man with a maiden test century. The West Indies closed on 351 for 5, just 65 runs behind. Hodge slammed 120 of 171 balls, and he hit 19 fours. He also shared in a fourth wicket stand of 175 with Alec Athanaze, who missed out on his maiden test ton. He was removed for 82 by England captain Ben Stokes. Athanaze slammed the 10 fours and a 6. Captain Craig Brathwaite made 48, Mikhail Louis 28, and Jamaica's Kirk McKenzie 11. Jason Holder is not out 23, and with him Joshua De Silva on 32. Shoaib Bashir has so far taken 2 for 100. And just going back to a bit of track and field news of sorts, Jamaica's Olympic icons Usain Bolt and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce have been named amongst the 100 greatest athletes of the 21st century by top American sports network ESPN. The sports broadcasting powerhouse listed Bolt as the 9th greatest athlete of the century, while Fraser-Pryce enters the list at number 77. Bolt, who is arguably the greatest sprinter of all times, holds the men's 100 and 200 meters world records, 9.58 and 19.19 seconds respectively, both set at the 2009 World Championships in the German capital Berlin. He's the only sprinter to win the sprint double title at 3 consecutive Olympic Games. Among other greats on the list, the U.S. swimmer Michael Phelps, who is ranked number 1, tennis star Serena Williams, football legend Leo Messi, NBA's LeBron James, NFL's Tom Brady, another tennis great, Swiss star Roger Federer, American gymnast Simone Biles, and the former PGA Tour number #1 Eldrick Tiger Woods. Fraser Price, affectionately called the Pocket Rocket, is a two-time Olympic gold medalist over 100 meters. Her first in 2008 in Beijing made her the first woman from the Caribbean to win gold in the blue ribbon sprint. Fraser Price, who along with Bolt, are 2 of 3 athletics professionals on the list, is just ahead of the oldest boxing world champion at 49 years old, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins, and she lies behind the mixed martial artist, George St. Pierre, the American 200 and 400 meter specialist. Alison Felix ranks number 63, and she's the third athletics person on that list. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Dion Hemmings is the first Jamaican woman to win individual gold at an Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Dion Hemmings created history when she won gold in the women's 400 meters hurdles at the 1996 Olympics in a then Games record time of 52.82 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Yeah, we've got 7 days to go to the Olympic Games. This time next week, the opening ceremony would have been done and dusted. And we're looking forward to the next day when competition at the Games of the 33rd Olympiad would have gotten underway. We're looking forward to it. And of course, you know the place to stay for it. It's Nationwide 90 FM, the exclusive radio broadcasters of the Olympic Games here in Jamaica. In other words, you will hear it nowhere else. Stick and stay with us. At sports, we're going to be back at 6:05 with more.
Calling all fisher folk and aquaculture farmers. Now you can get your license quick. Log on to iRefins and check out the thing. Use your smartphone and click. Register, pay and get your license. Sign up for iRefins, cause real fishermen have them licensing of them on. Go to irefins.nfa.gov.jm or contact the National Fisheries Authority. iRefins is a joint project of the NFA and the Transformation Implementation Unit.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to SportsMax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
You live the life you love. Reggae Sumfest is back July 14 to 20. Get ready to turn up the heat and volume on Nationwide 90 FM as we broadcast live from Reggae Sumfest. Nationwide's broadcast kicks off at 8 p.m. on night 1 and night 2 for the Reggae Sumfest. That's 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Tune in as we capture the electrifying atmosphere of the Caribbean's largest reggae festival.
These rows of flames are catching a fire.
We'll bring you exclusive interviews with top artists, chat with excited patrons, and describe the hottest performances. Whether you're at the festival or vibing at home, Nationwide 90 FM has you covered. So don't miss a beat or a rhythm when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM at 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Experience the ultimate vibe and get your reggae fix with Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Downsound Entertainment, Loud Fashion, Sandals Resorts International, Hospital Montego Bay, Fairview Medical and Dental, Grand Palladium, El Paso, and Grace Foods.
It's 5:34 here on Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis and we're joined by the man they call Teacher, Franklin McKnight. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, my brother. How are you?
I am great. I'm living, so I'm thankful for life.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I think you're on the way to Sumfest.
What? I wish, but I have to be here.
All right. We'll be carrying it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump to the cover story. And the National Works Agency, the NWA, says work is slated to commence next week for the rebuilding of the Troy Bridge in Trelawney. The bridge, which links several communities in Trelawney, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth, collapsed in August 2021 during the passage of Tropical Storm Grace.
Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, says Cabinet signed off on the $231 million contract for work to begin. The NWA says the project is expected to last for 12 months.
And it will see the demolition of the old structure, the erection of a new triple cell box culvert on piles, as well as the river training activities. Well, Minister Morgan joins us now to discuss further and also to give us an update on the assessments of the country's road infrastructure that was damaged during the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Good evening, Minister, or good afternoon, I should say, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Franklin. And who is this new person I hear on the radio?
He's not new minister, but he can introduce himself.
He knows Franklin. He's giving trouble. Good afternoon, Minister.
welcome. And I'm very happy that you are now a member of the Nationwide family. And I know you will do well.
Thank you, Minister. So the long-awaited construction to replace the collapsed Troy Bridge is to begin next week. Can you provide us with more details about the reconstruction plans?
Thank you very much. Well, as you did say, the bridge, the value of the contract is about $231 million. It was awarded to Dwight's Construction Limited after a public tender and the procurement process, which was approved by the Public Procurement Commission, as well as Team C and Cabinet. Mm-hmm. Because it's a capital project, it had to go through a very lengthy process of approval, and that process has ended. The contract period begins July 12 and is expected to be completed by July 25. And after that, there will be a 12-month defect liability period, which means that if during that period any defects are heard or seen rather, then the contractor is liable to repair that. What we're in now is the mobilization stage. The contractor has to mobilize his equipment, his personnel. They have to go on site. They have to start the process of building the bridge, and that's where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Minister, you said something about July 12 to 25. Can you just say that again? I lost you there.
So the commencement date for the contract is July 12, 2024, which means that the contract is effective from July 12, 2024. And the contract is for pretty much a 1-year period and expires July 25, 2025.
Oh, July. Okay, so that's when it extra. And how long after are they liable if there are defects that are seen?
I think 12 months after the completion date. So the completion date will be July 25, 2025. So they will be liable until July 2026.
Right.
Minister, just on that, can you just explain to people out there what that means?
Every major government contract, every government contract for works and infrastructure has a thing called a defect liability period, which essentially is a kind of warranty where the contractor is liable if anything should happen to the road or the bridge or the culvert over a set period of time. And that period of time is based on the type of infrastructure that is being built and also based on the value. So, for example, let's look at the SHIP, which is the South Coast Highway Improvement Project. If any defects appear in the project during or 1 year after the completion of the contract, then the contractor is liable. So if you go to St. Thomas now and you see a pothole in the road, based on the asphalt that was laid by the contractor, that liability for that pothole is borne by the contractor because it will be a defect to the work that they have done, and that would be covered up to 12 months in some cases after the completion of the contract.
And for the residents in the area, Minister, I know that some plans were in effect for them to still move about. With the construction of the bridge, will there be any changes to how they're currently moving around?
So one of the things that we are contemplating and we're thinking of implementing it at discussions with NW today, because it is not a constantly flowing high volume river. I think it goes to high flow whenever you have rain events upstream. We are thinking about creating a temporary footpath across the area so that persons can have access to the other side. It is not something that we usually do, but since I've been minister, I've been trying to work with the NWA and work with communities to see how we can try and ease the challenges that residents are facing in areas that we're doing work. So now that we have a contractor there and a contractor has been mobilized, it would have been extremely expensive to mobilize a contractor outside of a contract period to do anything like this. But now that we have a contractor there, we can try to alleviate the challenges that the residents are facing with a temporary structure across the riverbed.
So, Minister, this is going ahead now. What's the situation with the roads generally now after burial? Where is the most of the damage that has been seen?
Thank you very much. Well, the last update I had, which was yesterday evening, we only now have 10 roads blocked totally. And we don't have any important of our blocks, none in St. Mary, none in St. Anne. We have one in Trelawney, two in St. James, one in Hanover, none in Westmoreland, none in St. Elizabeth, one in Manchester, none in Clarendon, none in St. Catherine. We have one in Kingston, one in St. Andrew, and three in St. Thomas. And that's totally blocked roads. And the blockage is due to serious landslides or land slippage, which has rendered the entire road impassable. And part of the reason why it may not have been cleared is that it might exacerbate the land slippage and might pose danger to the workmen or to residents if you try to clear those 10 roads. But we are slowly moving to assess to see how we can clear the 10. Of the 605 roads that we have assessed, 497 are now 2 lanes with only 98 single lanes. So we have been systematically clearing the roads over period. So initially we started with about 200 roads assessed immediately after burial, and over the time we're now at 605 roads that have been assessed and cleared and so on.
And any timeline set as to when those additional 10 roads will be reopened?
Well, yes, day before yesterday it was more than 10. So every single day we have improvements, because what happens is that, so for example, you have a major landslide in an area. You may need specialized equipment to reach that area in order to clear it, or you may need to get an engineer or someone else to come and assess the stability of the hillside to see whether or not it is safe to clear that road at this time. Has there been any settling? Is there any vulnerability to other sections of the hillside that might come down? Some of them are very huge boulders, which a backhoe may not be able to remove, so you may need to bring in a heavier equipment to do that. So it's a work in progress, and we continue every day. I suspect that by next week, 99% of the blockages, except for the ones that are serious land slippages. For example, you remember the one that we had in Garden Town, that took several months. Yes. I have not gotten any reports that we have anything of that magnitude yet, but we continue to work with our teams on the ground to get the update.
We're up on a break. Hold it for us, Minister. We're going to take the break and come back.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
I stay locked into Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican.
I tune into the Olympics, but I'm always busy. What have you know when Sharika Jackson beat Shakari?
She's storming to victory here. Watch the clock. This is so fast.
Brother, I have to see every notification for the Olympics. Me, we want to hear every run.
The Jamaican's coming. He's closing. What a performance.
Every jump and every fling.
Oh, wow.
Live. Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while I'm driving,
Thompson here from 60 yards, moving away, and she gets the victory.
she's jogging, or at work,
Hurry, the race is about to start.
we can't miss a beat.
Oh, me?
Because we keep it locked.
To the only station for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
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 90 FM.
Everything you do with your JN Bank Visa credit card could be a win for you. Go shop win, dine win, travel win, or pay win bills with your JN Bank Visa credit card. Every time your purchases total $40,000 using your JN Visa credit card, you earn an entry to win. Every purchase you make adds up. Win weekly summer watch party kits of coolers and grocery vouchers so you don't miss the runnings. Or be one of 2 monthly winners of $100,000 cash. Don't have a JN Visa credit card? It's easy. Visit jnbank.com today. Win with your JN Bank Visa credit card. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. We're inside the cover story. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
And we're speaking with the Minister with Responsibility for Works, Robert Morgan. And just before the break, Minister Morgan, you were speaking about the repairs to be done for Beryl. One of the things, though, that the Prime Minister indicated, Minister, that as part of the recovery mode is to be more resilient in building back. Is the NAA examining different ways to be more resilient? Maybe looking at the idea of concrete road in some areas?
We do examine areas where concrete roads are appropriate. It may not be appropriate in every area, but there is work ongoing, particularly close to areas that are waterlogged in many cases. So you will notice several fordings across Kingston. We've started a process of concretizing the entrances to those fordings to make them more resilient. And there have been concrete road projects in several areas across the island. Not as much as we would want to, as you can understand, concrete roads come at a significantly higher cost than asphalt. But it's something that we're looking at. The other area that we're looking at as well is our capacity to tolerate these massive rain events. So our drains, in many cases, were not built to consistently accommodate the high volumes of water that now occur during these rain events. And what happens in many cases is that because of their inability to tolerate the high volumes, you do have flooding. So, for example, you would have a drain, let's say in Spanish Town, that is graded to carry X amount of water that was built 50 years ago, when the tree cover was more and there was more vegetation, so there was more soaking away. But you have had significant development over the last 62 years, so you have more runoff, but the drains have not been increased. So the Prime Minister has given an instruction for us to look at the areas, especially areas of vulnerability, as well as look at areas where people live because there are some situations that, regardless of what you do for a particular area, there will always be flooding because it's probably a low-lying, flood-prone area, or it is an area that is not environmentally fit for human habitation. So the government will have to look at the persons who are living in certain areas and find housing solutions to relocate some of these persons to more appropriate circumstances. Not to disenfranchise them, not to take away their land and give it to someone else, but to look at areas where, so for example, you live in a swamp, you're subjected to mosquito-borne diseases, the place is always wet. Whenever it rains, the state has to mobilize infrastructure to evacuate you from that area. There may be a situation where the state could come forward and say, listen, we want to relocate you to a proper housing circumstance where you have water, you have road, you have proper electricity, you're closer to schools. And we will declare that particular area that no one is allowed to live. So no one is going to just come and move in when you move out. Those are some of the things that are being thought about. And I know that the Prime Minister will speak more on it in more detail when he does decide to articulate the policy fulsomely. But he has instructed the National Works Agency and other agencies to look at a more resilient developmental philosophy in terms of where people live, how they live, how we manage water, and how we manage our environment in terms of tree cover, in terms of how the water is channeled through particular areas.
Yeah.
Mr. Morgan, I want to take you on back to the Beryl aftermath. Now, there are some main roads, NWA roads, clearly, where trees have been cut and are by the wayside. They're by the roadside, I'm sorry. In large numbers of these in different areas. Who is responsible, and when is that going to be? When are they going to be removed? They're on the verges or on the soft shoulder or a little bit back on major roadways, as a matter of fact, and also in addressing the trees that have been cut by the fire brigade people. Also, signs are along some of those roadways. They've been blown down. They constitute a danger to motorists and pedestrians who use those roads. Who's responsible, and when are those going to be tackled?
Well, they will start declaring next week. Cabinet will meet on Monday, where the Prime Minister made an announcement in Parliament on Tuesday regarding a $1.3 billion cleanup program in collaboration with the National Solid Waste Management Authority and the National Works Agency. And we will both be partnering to do the cleanups, removing the debris from the roads, removing the cut trees, carting them away and appropriately discarding them. The first phase of the post-burial recovery was access, creating access to communities, creating access for emergency vehicles, creating access for economic activity. So in many cases, we gave single-lane access, and we would have cut trees, fire brigade, residents, National Solid Waste Management Authority, NWA contractors would have cut trees, or they would have cleared the roads to single lane and would have piled debris on the side of the road. Now, this phase is the cleanup, where we are going to be going across the island in every single parish, and we'll be doing a national cleanup, not just to remove trees and dirt and stone, but in order to aid in the environmental management of vectors and vector-borne diseases. So sections like Southern Clarendon, where it's now waterlogged, and we will need to clear channels so that the water can move to the sea or somewhere else. We'd have to do some drain cleaning, where in many of our drains are earthen drains, where grass has grown up and creates a habitat for mosquitoes and so on. So all along the south coast, sections of the north coast, in some of the rural areas that have large areas that need to be, a channel need to be cleared for the water to run off. Those are some of the things that we're going to be doing, and it's not just the...
And the cleanup will include the signs as well, Minister. In some areas, as I said, especially in some commercial areas, lots of signs.
Any debris that is there, that is not removed by its owner, will be removed by the government. So if you have a billboard that is lying down on the side of the highway, I suggest to you that if you want to salvage it, you may want to go and remove it as early next week as possible, because the trucks and the tractors and the NSWMA and the NWA will be clearing debris off our road. Debris, if it doesn't pose a hazard, we may not clear it. But if it does pose a hazard and it is impeding access and traffic, then we will have to clear it. We're not going on private property. If persons have bulky waste that they need to get rid of, we will announce where the NSWMA and the trucks are coming through, and we will advise persons. And we're working with local representatives, councillors, MPs, and civic groups so that they know that we'll be doing a national cleanup starting next week.
Sanjay, before you come back in, Sanjay, I just want to beg you an opportunity to ask the Minister. Minister, as you're an MP as well, and there are some people who are suggesting that MPs, not just on your side, but MPs on both sides, are not possibly understanding what people out in the rural areas in particular are feeling. For example, some people have lost a lot. And this is outside of your area, and I'm just speaking to you as an MP. Are you aware, you personally, of the suffering that a lot of people are facing? For example, the people who farm chicken and have lost a lot, are unable to take in some now, going up to this period for back to school. Are you very sensitive to that, Minister?
I am, because you see, we live in our country is divided into urban and rural areas, and a lot of the communication is centered in many cases in urban spaces, and people who live in rural areas may not necessarily have access to mass media. So, for example, during the hurricane, most people in my constituency did not have access to telephone communication. They did not have electricity. Many of them still don't have electricity. Many of them have lost their entire farms. They have lost their chickens. Some have lost their pigs. Some have lost goats and toured through Moko and Rock River and Chapel. Many persons have lost their livestock. And a lot of them are subsistence farmers. So a man who has a quarter acre of bananas could go every couple of days or every couple of weeks and cut 2 bananas and sell to the higgler and earn a $6,000, $7,000, and that he can go to the supermarket and buy some food. He doesn't have that anymore. The bananas are on the ground. In Moko, pear season is now what's coming in. The pears are on the tree ready to turn. So people would pick pears, and people you would see coming to buy boxes and boxes of pears to carry to Mayfair to sell. The pears are on the ground. The mangoes are on the ground, rotting. So we have to appreciate that there are many persons in Jamaica who live from a subsistence situation. A shopkeeper who has a fridge full of chicken that she bought from the lady down the road who raises 50 chickens. So the lady down the road gave her the 50 chicken on the promise that when she sold the chicken, she would give her back some money so she could go back to the farm store. She has lost the 50 chickens because she had no electricity and she had to dump them. So she has no money to give the lady down the road. So the lady down the road cannot go to the farm store to buy 50 chickens. And those are some of the stories that we're hearing. Then you have persons who lost their roofs, persons who were flooded out, lost mattresses, lost televisions, lost dressers, lost clothes, lost books. Yesterday there was a major fire. Day before yesterday, a major fire in the area of Woodall. And we don't know the reason, but maybe it's because of candles. We're not sure. There were 5 children in that house. They have lost all their uniforms for September, all their school books. Every single piece of clothes, they have lost it. The house is flat on the ground. And these are real stories and real challenges that people in rural areas face because of the hurricane. They may not hear them, they may not be amplified. And I know Floyd Green has been on the radio telling these stories. And these stories are the reality. And we as MPs in rural areas have to be there with our people and have to be their advocates to the government agencies. And I will say the Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Local Government, persons from overseas, companies across the island have really stepped up to really help many of our rural folk who are suffering with food packages, with blankets. Food for the Poor has provided us a blanket. A lady came from overseas and gave me some mattresses, so I was able to give some persons mattresses. So there is help on the way, but there's a lot of challenges.
That's all the time we have, Minister. We're out of time. Thank you as always, and thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Minister.
Minister with Responsibility for Works, Robert Morgan. We take a break, and the news at 6 comes your way next.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Commercial Development and Marketing Manager at MBJ Airports Limited, Sharon Hislop Holt, says 4 flights have been cancelled at Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay due to the current global technology outage. She says other flights have been delayed as a result of the disruption in operations.
Today, 42 arriving flights were scheduled to operate. 15 flights have been delayed and 4 flights have been cancelled, and these are Spirit Airlines out of Fort Lauderdale, American Airlines out of Charlotte, Frontier out of Atlanta, and TUI from London Gatwick. So these flights will not be arriving nor departing today. MBJ continues to monitor the situation, and we urge passengers to check our website at www.mbjairport.com flight operations for update and to check with their airlines for rebooking.
Sharon Hislop Holt, Commercial Development and Marketing Manager at MBJ Airports Limited. Reports are that the global outage was caused by a faulty software update which grounded flights worldwide, knocked media outlets offline, and disrupted hospitals, small businesses, and government offices. The software update was being carried out by cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike, which hit the operating systems at Microsoft. Meanwhile, the operators of Norman Manley International Airport, NMIA, have also advised that at least 2 flights have been cancelled. They are Spirit Airlines NK702 and NK723. NMIA says other flights may be subject to delays. Passengers can get further information on its website, www.nmia.aero/flight information. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA has launched an investigation into numerous reports of extortion where it's alleged that persons are illegally charging citizens to have their electricity restored. This follows restoration efforts caused by the recent passage of Hurricane Beryl. MOCA says residents in the rural communities of Westmoreland, Clarendon, and St. Catherine have expressed growing frustration over the slow restoration of electricity. The agency says these residents have reported that they are being asked to make payments to have their power supply reconnected. Director of Communications at MOCA, Major Basil Jarrett, says the agency is working with the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, to address the allegations. He says paying these extortion fees is strongly discouraged. He is urging members of the public who have information regarding these incidents to come forward and report the matter via the MOCA tip line at 888-662-2847. Meanwhile, Director of Communications at JPS, Winsome Callum, has described the allegations of extortion as extremely concerning. She says JPS will not be tolerating any actions that exploit the vulnerabilities of citizens, especially during times of crisis. She says JPS is working closely with MOCA to ensure a thorough and swift investigation. The Upper House has approved a bill which paves the way for the amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution. The amendment provides for new words of enactment in the Constitution, which, among other things, replaces the phrase, quote, the Queen or the King, with the Parliament of Jamaica. Government Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith led debate on the bill in the Senate on Friday.
Laws passed within our parliament are still enacted by the words, the Queen's or the King's most excellent majesty. And this is because the Constitution sets out how bills are enacted. It does so under Section 61, and this bill seeks to amend those words of enactment by prescribing new words which reflect the autonomy of Parliament. The Jamaica Constitution Ordering Council 1962, made at the court at Buckingham Palace in England on the 23rd of July 1962 by virtue of Section 5, subsection 1 of the West Indies Act 1962. So our Constitution is actually a schedule to a British document. Some things just need to move forward, and the Jamaicanization of our Constitution is one of these things.
Senator Johnson Smith says the bill is one of the legislative steps being taken by the government as it pushes forward to making Jamaica a republic.
The government firmly believes that it is important to express supreme authority of Parliament of Jamaica in all legislative matters. And very importantly, Mr. President, the proposed amendment to Section 61 of the Constitution is an important step on our road to becoming a republic. Having replaced the words of enactment for all bills of Parliament, when the bill to transition Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic is passed, it will state that the enactment is made by the Parliament of Jamaica.
Kamina Johnson-Smith, Government Senator. All 11 government senators who were present in the chamber voted for the bill. 4 opposition senators voted in favor of the amendment. Opposition Senator Lambert Brown abstained. Education Minister Favour Williams says she does not believe issues related to natural hairstyles will be a major issue in schools come September. Minister Williams was speaking on Friday at a media conference at the Education Ministry's office in Kingston. This follows a ruling by the Court of Appeal on Monday that Kensington Primary School breached the constitutional rights of a child when it denied her access to the school because she had dreadlocks.
I just want it to be said that within the school system, within the education system currently, in several schools, there are students who attend schools with locks. And they are okay, they are embraced, they're doing well. If you will recall, last year, I made it known that no child should be required to wear covering on their hair if they have locks. And the schools that have been doing that, they've stopped requiring it.
She believes issues regarding the wearing of natural hairstyles in school will not be a prominent one come the start of the next school year.
We're not expecting that we're going to have a major issue come September, because where we are as a society today, just listening to what people are saying, there's a full embrace of our culture, our hair, our African heritage, and so on.
Favour Williams, Minister of Education. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
This summer, transform your summer body with the Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
The Development Bank of Jamaica wants to see more businesses, more job creation, and better opportunities for people across Jamaica. That's why, since day one, we've been dedicated to facilitating economic growth and development across all sectors, while providing funding and technical assistance to MSMEs, projects, and other businesses through our strong partnerships. Because helping to build better businesses helps to build a better Jamaican economy for everyone. Visit us at dbankjm.com for more info. DBJ, the business builder.
My Mega With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite, and pay some bills.
Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Broader plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to SportsMax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
You made all the preparations but still suffered serious damage from the hurricane. Recovering from any disaster will be hard, but there is help for those who need it most. Look out for the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to visit your home and make damage assessments. Make sure you have a government-issued ID or letter from a JP identifying you. If you suffered damage to your home and have not been visited by our team, please call 876-922-8000 to 13. We're leaving no one behind. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Sprint star Shelley and Fraser Price and Una Knight Wisdom, who will be attending their last Olympic Games, have been named the co-captains of Jamaica's team to the Games of the 33rd Olympiad in Paris. The announcement was made today by the JOA at a media briefing held at their headquarters in Kingston. Fraser Price has qualified for her 5th Olympic Games, while diver Knight Wisdom will be attending his 3rd. Meanwhile, triple jump star Shanika Ricketts and swimmer Josh Curlew will carry the Jamaica flag at the opening ceremony next Friday. JOA President Chris Samuda says he's confident the 4 individuals selected are deserving of the special roles.
Certainly we look on the performance, but also importantly we look on the attributes of the person. We look for leadership, we look for integrity, we look for humility, we look for an ability to coalesce and to unite persons. And that, of course, are the attributes of a leader. So those are the essential qualities, human qualities that we look for, more importantly than the performance. Standard bearers are what we look for, and that is fact influenced our decision in terms of selection of the captain and selection of the flag bearers.
Samuda says it was important they take the unusual step of naming the captains and the flag bearers well ahead of the Games.
Plan in advance. Just like how we treat our management teams, we have selected our management teams 3-4 years in advance, and we thought that it is best to do that rather than just simply announce it at the Games. We certainly want the media here to have full information so that they can do interest stories surrounding our flag bearers, surrounding our captains. When you announce in the Games, sometimes it gets lost in a lot of the information, a lot of the happenings at the Games.
Meanwhile, most of the JOA management team is already in Paris, preparing to receive the athletes when they arrive next week. And Samuda says things are progressing smoothly.
Everybody seems to be very comfortable. Majority of our management teams are already there. They're ensuring that everything is seamless to receive the athletes. If we look at the Tokyo experience, that was absolutely seamless. We were able to ensure that our athletes were met. Their transition to the Olympic Village was very comfortable. And what we really look for is that ensuring that the athletes themselves understand that there is a system in place that not only protects them in terms of their comfort, but the system is there to make them do well.
President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Chris Samuda, the JOA will also celebrate the reallocation of medals to Bev McDonald, Kelly Spencer Carter, and Chelsea Hammond Ross, with a special function on August 9, the day they'll be presented with their medals. And celebrations are also planned for Jamaica's Independence Day, August 6, and the JOA Day, August 7. National hammer throw record holder Nayoka Clooney should know by Sunday of next week, if she will be allowed to compete at the Olympic Games in Paris. And when I say Sunday, I mean Sunday, like tomorrow Sunday. Clooney was selected to represent Jamaica at the Olympics after meeting the qualifying standards. However, her name was not submitted to World Athletics as a member of the team. Clooney's national record throw of 71 meters 93 in May puts her in the top 32 in the world this year. When World Athletics released the names of the 32 competitors for the hammer throw in Paris, Clooney's name was missing, and the J3A says it was a technical glitch caused by Hurricane Beryl, why her name was not submitted. Irked by the silence of the J3s as to their next move, Clunis asked her lawyers to write to the Court of Arbitration for Sport should there have been no response from the J3s by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. The case is now with CAS, and the panel of Dr. Annabella Bennett, KC of Australia, Corinne Duperon of France, and Kristen Thornes will hold a hearing with the parties tomorrow and the ruling expected by Sunday. The West Indies produced easily their best day so far on the current tour of England. They closed in on the home team's 416 all-out at the close on day number 2 of the second test at Trent Bridge in Nottingham. Kavem Hodge was the star man with a maiden test century. The West Indies closed on 351 for 5, just 65 runs behind. Hodge slammed 120 of 171 balls and he hit 19 fours. He also shared in a fourth wicket stand of 175 with Alec Athenes, who missed out on his maiden test ton. He was removed for 82 by England captain Ben Stokes. Athenes slammed the 10 fours and the 6. Captain Craig Brathwaite made 48, Mikael Louis 28, and Jamaica's Kirk McKenzie 11. Jason Holder is not out on 23, and with him Joshua Da Silva 32. Shoaib Bashir has so far taken 2 for 100. Jamaica will today begin the final journey for a place at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile next year when they face the United States at the Estadio Miguel Alemán Valdez in Mexico starting at 9 o'clock this evening. The game will follow the other Group A encounter between Costa Rica and Cuba, which kicked off 16 minutes ago. And the Jamaicans arrived in Mexico in 2 batches over the last 72 hours, and they're looking for a win to start the campaign, which will see 4 teams making it to the World Cup. After single round-robin play, the top 2 finishers and the 2 best third-place finishers will qualify for the knockout stage. The knockout stage will include 8 teams. The quarterfinals will be played on July 30 and 31, the semifinals on August 2, and the final on Sunday, August 4. The 4 semifinalists will qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Italian football giants AC Milan today signed Spanish forward Alvaro Morata from Atletico Madrid on a 4-year contract with an option for a further 12 months. The Serie A side triggered Morata's release clause, which was reportedly external, about £11 million, in order to sign him. The 31-year-old captained Spain to victory in Euro 2024 earlier this month. Morata made his professional debut with Real Madrid and has also played for Juventus and Chelsea. He won the Champions League twice in 2 spells at Real and lifted the Italian title twice with Juventus. Morata, who won the FA Cup with Chelsea, has scored 36 goals in 80 matches for Spain. Former world's number 1 Rafa Nadal came through a 3-hour and 58-minute marathon to reach his first semi-final of the year, coming from behind to defeat the Argentine Mariano Navone at the Swedish Open. The 38-year-old Nadal knocked out the 4th seed 6-7, 7-5, 7-5 to set up a meeting with Croatia's Duje and Dušković for a place in the final. The Spaniard is also due to play with Casper Ruud in the doubles semi-finals against Brazil's Orlando Luche and Rafael Matos as he prepares to partner Carlos Alcaraz at the Olympic Games in Paris. Some brilliant tennis between the two forced a first set tiebreaker where the Argentine powered his way into the lead. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Dion Hemmings is the first Jamaican woman to win individual gold at an Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Dion Hemmings created history when she won gold in the women's 400 meters hurdles at the 1996 Olympics in a then Games record time of 52.82 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Yeah, so we've got 7 days to go before the Olympic Games, and I think this is as good a time to say to you folks, the listeners, to Nationwide 90 FM, that the next time you'll be hearing from me or seeing me, then I'll be at the Olympic Games. I'll be heading off in a couple of days' time to cover the event for the station. We have the exclusive radio broadcast rights to the event, and I'll be on the ground in Paris to cover everything Olympic Games and to make sure that we're covered here and we're covered there in Paris as well. So as I say, I'll be heading off shortly, and let's see. We're really gonna produce and deliver a big Olympic Games for you, especially since you will not be able to follow it anywhere else in Jamaica as far as the radio is concerned, right? So yeah. All right, that's it. And sports again on Monday. Sports Nation Live is tomorrow, starting at 5 o'clock.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Papine. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here, is
32 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Is your Strata filing its annual returns? In keeping with the Registration Strata Titles Act, Strata corporations are required to submit an audited financial statement or a copy of its accounts, prepared in keeping with generally accepted accounting principles, signed by the chairman and at least one other member of the executive committee. This must be submitted annually to the Commission of Strata Corporations within 120 days after the end of the financial year. For more information, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations at 926-9748-9.
You made all the preparations but still suffered serious damage from the hurricane. Recovering from any disaster will be hard, but there is help for those who need it most. Look out for the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to visit your home and make damage assessments. Make sure you have a government-issued ID or letter from a JP identifying you. If you suffered damage to your home and have not been visited by our team, please call 876-922-8000 to 13. We're leaving no one behind. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
Ready, set, go!
Where are my winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are my winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number one. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where are my winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are my winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old to drink responsibly.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for joining. We ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion, this evening's Public Opinion. You know, there's a bit of controversy going on where track and field is concerned. Yeah. Track and field fans on social media have been in much discussion following an interview with American track and field star Noah Lyles. Now, Lyles labeled Jamaican track on Twitter as the most toxic world you can get in track and field. Yes. Now, he says shots were being thrown, accusations being made by fans on the platform. Things took an even crazier turn when Lyles, he mentioned that he knows all about the drama that takes place in Jamaica's track and field clubs, thanks to his relationship with Jamaican Olympic bronze medalist Janelle Bromfield. Now, Lyles says because of this, he knows information that others don't. Some social media users have been split since the interview, with some bashing Bromfield for spilling the beans to Lyles, while others held Lyles accountable for making this known to the public. But who do you think is to be blamed? This evening's public opinion, we ask, Janelle or Noah? Let's see if we can get to these interesting comments on our social media platform. I'll start on Facebook. Rosalind Buck says their lives, their business. Natalie Winter is saying Noah. And Ernetta is also saying Noah. Maureen McLeod says couples pillow talk all the time, but woe unto who? Woe unto he who talks too much. Okay. All right. Let's see the comments here on our X platform. K-Nat says none of them. Elon is also saying neither. Yeah. And Carrion is saying nada. Brescia is also saying none of them. Let me see who. Let me see. Neither Hay says. Well, Suzanne Hay rather says neither. She can't be trusted. He can't keep his mouth. Wow. It's that time of the, the season, track and field. Let me see if I can get to the comments on our Instagram platform. It's me says Janelle carry her country business to her partner. Okay. Aries says none. None. While Hug says, what was there a plan by the USA's track team to spy on Jamaica team? I believe so. It was all carefully orchestrated. Okay, let me see if I can go on to some other comments. Chef Boy is saying, who cares? Who cares? I am saying none of them. None of them is preferred for him. Mitz is also saying, I choose none. She should switch allegiance at this point. Okay. Leanne says, man for be man and understand that when them business gossip with them, when their partners gossip with them, he's to keep his mouth shut. Ooh. All right. So Philip is saying the whole thing is disgusting. And Lily is saying none of them and saying that they should have all kept their mouths. All right. Let me see if I can get to some of the comments here on our YouTube platform. The question we're putting to you, Janelle or Noah. And this comes from a heated controversy as it relates to track and field and some discussions, on social media about an interview with American track and field star Noah Lyles. Let me see if I can get in on some of these. Objectivity on our YouTube say it's much to do about nothing. Charmaine Walker says kiss and tell Lyles. Sharv is saying 50 out of 50. Let me see. Cindy says Janelle sure Jamaica is her country, but is she sure Noah is gonna be her soulmate? Wow. Okay. A lot of comments, interesting comments. Edney Paul says none of them. Patricia says Noah Lyles. Herman says both. Mona Smith says Noah is a Motamasi. Okay. Some interesting comments coming in on this one. Charmaine Walker says he is her partner. They talk things, him kiss and tell. Trishana says neither of them. I wish Noah would have said nothing. And Herman is saying Kiba. And I think we all know what that means. Kiba Yamot. Yeah, wow. Wow. Some interesting comments here. I wish I could get through to all of them. Beverly Ricketts says she's Jamaican until. Okay. Let me see if I can get in some more on this one. Baby Toy says Noah need to. Okay. Now, I can't say that one, Baby Toy, on air, but I thank you guys so much for your contribution to this public opinion. Proper is saying traitor, conflict of interest. Crystal Clark is saying Noah talked too much and she didn't give him anything to publicize. Wow, okay. St. Thomas Eastern says Noah trying to distract us. Stay focused, team. Go Jamaica. Yes, indeed. We're coming home with all those medals. All those medals we're coming home with. So we need to stay focused, yes? Alex Smith says two back and belly cutlass. Okay, Angela says both. Mona Smith says, Mota Masi, Kiba your moat. And Pablo believes that Noah is just looking a hype. A lot of interesting comments here on this one. And as I can tell you, the commentary on social media is even more about this hot topic, the controversy surrounding track and field and the interview done by American track and field star Noah Lyles, where he labeled the Jamaica track Twitter as the most toxic world you can get in track and field. A lot of comments going in on this one. Alex Smith says, this Noah sink the ark. I've been seeing the ark comment, and I was wondering, it just a connect. No, it just a connect. Thank you so much for that one, Alex Smith. You said this Noah sink the ark. Okay, wow. The Real says, make sure she win, cause lose and fine. Okay, no. Really? All right. We welcome your comment. Let me see. Herman says, that's why they coming to Jamaica. No, you see why. Yep. Let me see if I can get in some more. Beverly Rickett says, Noah worried sick about Kishane. Okay, yeah. M Jam says she chose an American partner over a Jamaican. Wow. All right. To each his own. We say to each his own, But that's all the time we have for Public Opinion. Thank you guys so much for participating. We are going to come back with a whole lot of medals. So yes, to our athletes, keep focus. Thank you guys.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:31. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robeanne Williams. A cybersecurity firm responsible for the worldwide IT outages, CrowdStrike, admits it would be some time before all systems are back up and running. While the software bug has been fixed, experts say the manual reboot of each affected Microsoft computer will take a huge amount of work. Thousands of flights have been cancelled, with banking, healthcare, and payment systems all affected. In the UK, GPS have been struggling to access records, pharmacies have been hit, and TV channels knocked off air. Also, the UK's national debt has reached its highest level since 1962. That's according to new official figures published. The total stock of government debt was worth 99.5% of the value of the economy in June, exceeding the highs reached during the coronavirus pandemic for the first time. The Office for National Statistics figures also showed that the amount the government borrowed was more than expected in June. A statement on the state of the public finances is expected from Chancellor Rachel Reeves by the end of the month. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 99 cents to buy $1 US, 201 Jamaican dollars and 66 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 123 Jamaican dollars and 49 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. Well, that's the business report. I'm Robeanne Williams. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
Nigga, pure culture. How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? When you head to the bar, feel our vibes and party. Spend 15 bills, get a queue, fit the crew. Or spend 250 pound a drink for you or your boo. How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask?
Must be 18 years old to drink responsibly.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to Sports Max on us. Activate a plan today. One side, One Digicel. One Jamaica. Digicel. Better connected.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Reggae Sumfest is back July 14 to 20. Get ready to turn up the heat and volume on Nationwide 90 FM as we broadcast live from Reggae Sumfest. Nationwide's broadcast kicks off at 8 p.m. on night 1 and night 2 for the Reggae Sumfest. That's 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Tune in as we capture the electrifying atmosphere of the Caribbean's largest reggae festival.
These roads of flames are catching a fire.
We'll bring you exclusive interviews with top artists, chat with excited patrons, and describe the hottest performances.
I bet you give me some loving.
Whether you're at the festival or vibing at home, Nationwide 90 FM has you covered. So don't miss a beat or a rhythm when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM at 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Experience the ultimate vibe and get your reggae fix with Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Downsound Entertainment, Loud Fashion, Sandals Resorts International, Hospital Montego Bay, Fairview Medical and Dental, Grand Palladium, El Paso, and Grace Foods.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
It's 6:36 here on Nationwide at 5. It's now time for the nation's business. My name is Sanjay Lewis. All right, so we're waiting to be joined by my co-host Franklin McKnight, and apparently the BOJ had. Franklin, I gather you're now with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Wonderful.
I'm right here with you.
Yes. So I was saying that on the deputy governor in the Financial Institutions Supervisory Division at the Bank of Jamaica, the BOJ, and that's Dr. G. Day Lewis, says all local banks and other deposit-taking institutions, DTIs, have stopped charging fees on dormant accounts. He was speaking during Thursday's sitting of Parliament's Economic and Production Committee.
There is no DTI currently that levies a charge for the management of dormant accounts. That practice would have ended across the sector over 3 years ago. And the practice now is, the reason cited, and some of these have been made publicly available, meaning news stories have been written on it, cited by licensees is that previously when they had manual processes, they had to employ labor to administer these accounts which had gone dormant to ensure that the matters to which General Counsel Celeste spoke of, making sure that nobody has access to the account, making sure that all the KYC documentation is up to date, and other requirements that they would have. The industry, there were two banks in particular, had deployed technological solutions to allow them to effect those administrative processes, and hence they felt that there was no more need to have an administrative fee for that. They absorbed that and used technology to allow them to meet their obligations. So that was back at least 2.5 years ago. What has occurred since then is that the bank would have implemented some thematic studies of the entire banking system about a year ago, and one of the matters that we would have evaluated was the extent to which banks had electronic mechanisms to alert them as to when dormant accounts were being accessed by members of staff. This was flagged as one of the typologies for fraud, specifically internal fraud, for which we required banks to demonstrate that they had what is known as transaction monitoring systems. They had transaction monitoring systems that allowed them to determine when a dormant account was being accessed by a member of staff. And when we did that review, we found that a large percentage of banks had those systems in place, and the ones that didn't were given a period of 8 months to implement that technology so that they could be notified. When I said the nominating officer, who is the person at each financial institution who's responsible for managing AML and CFT related matters, that person would have a mechanism to alert them. And so I can say now very confident that all banks have that system deployed, and therefore there's a technological solution that has been used to allow them to meet the administrative obligations under our guidance notes and ultimately under the Proceeds of Crime Act. So that is the status of things. So I will summarize. There are no banks that are charging dormant account fees. They would have done so in the past. At least 2 DTIs have indicated that have done so in the past because of the administrative manual nature of providing proper compliance for those kinds of accounts. It is no longer the practice to use manual processes, but rather to use technology, and that technology is being applied across the banking sector and has been verified by the supervisor.
That's Dr. G.D. Lewis, the Deputy Governor in the Financial Institutions Supervisory Division at the BOJ.
In the meantime, the Central Bank's Deputy Governor and General Counsel, Celeste McCullough, says the BOJ's position is that the practice of having charges on dormant accounts is not illegal.
The bank provided its opinion on the matters of 1, does or should the lack of the use of a bank account by a customer prevent the application of fees or charges on the account? And 2, is the practice of applying fees and charges on such accounts illegal? Prior to answering that question, we did a little background and context for the benefit of the committee members. And we noted that while the terms bank account and savings account are not defined in the Banking Services Act, the terminology account and dormant account and product or service, those are actually outlined in the Code of Conduct, which is promulgated under the Banking Services Act. We recognized that in relation to dormant account, that those set of accounts can in fact be caught within the set of accounts known as unclaimed monies or treated with as unclaimed monies under the Banking Services Act, because that is defined as an account by which no form of activity has occurred for 15 or more years. There is a mechanism by which a person can claim the funds in the account if after we have treated with it as per the statutory methodology, the person comes forward, the account holder comes forward to claim the funds in the account. So we gave a little background and context so you know what it is that is covered in our Banking Services Act and where we might have touched on the subject of dormant accounts in our framework through our Code of Conduct. Essentially, because the dormant account is it's a service offered, it's a savings account, a regular savings account, and the label dormant really applies to whether or not there has been usage on the account. It's subject to the same arrangements that would apply to a savings account, including the application of fees and charges, because the banks would normally be required to ensure that, as is the case with other savings accounts, the account is not abused, that they are reporting correctly in relation to the account, they are applying the interest accordingly, and whatever charges need to be applied, those are being applied accordingly, and that whoever accesses the account is actually the account holder or has the authority to access the account to make sure the account remains intact. And so while the subject of applying fees in relation to dormant accounts or accounts that are not in use for a period of time, it's not treated within the Banking Services Act. What the Banking Services Act covers through its code of conduct are disclosures that should be made to customers, disclosures of terms and conditions of products and services, disclosures of complaints, mechanisms, disclosures of what is in the account that is owed to the customer in the form of that, the funds held in the account, charges, etc. On the matter of the practice of applying fees and charges on such accounts being illegal, again, because it's a regular savings account and fees and charges are part of the methodology that banks use in their daily operations to manage those accounts. And the BSA as well does not prohibit the application of fees in relation to such accounts. Our conclusion is that it's not illegal for such charges to be applied against the account. There could be a discussion on terms of reasonableness when it looks at what is applied in relation to the such accounts. We went a little further to see what some of our counterparts elsewhere were doing in the region, and we saw where there is in fact application of fees to dormant accounts. One circumstance, one jurisdiction actually put a limit on how high you can go with the charges, and I believe that was Barbados.
And that's Celeste McCullough, Deputy Governor and General Counsel at the BOJ. Meanwhile, Western St. Andrew MP Anthony Hilton questioned whether legislation is needed to prevent banks from charging fees for dormant accounts.
With that clarity as to what the position is to date, is it fair then to say that where the solution, as in this instance, has been a technical one, that really, in order to safeguard those accounts, that the Parliament and the government and the Parliament ought properly then to put in place a policy or a directive, a clear legislative or regulatory or some kind of resolution to ensure that this is now outlawed. Not just that the banks no longer need to do that, because things can change as the conclusion, as the opinion concluded. They have the right under the existing legal arrangement to so do. But that because the grounds, the basis on which they were doing it was simply because there was some administrative cost attaching to it. Therefore, and that has been resolved through technical means, they no longer engage in that practice. But I believe the Parliament and the government have a responsibility to ensure that that is not reverted to, because so far as I'm concerned, and I'm very pleased to hear that the internal situation in the banks is now such that whenever a member of staff interferes with or accesses an account, there's a mechanism to trigger a warning. That, I should say, Mr. Chairman, is a welcome development, because my understanding, as explained to me by a previous president of the Bankers Association, was that the chief risk that those funds faced were which from the employees themselves internally. And so, and therefore my concern was, and really up until now, my concern remains that if members of staff were the ones interfering or accessing these accounts, then the responsibility must devolve on the banks to address this situation. And the Bank of Jamaica, as was just indicated, has provisions for them to report where their staff have so acted. And those risks are properly to fall on the banks themselves and not on the depositors. Because, as was indicated, and we're coming to shortly, there is a mechanism that although for 15 years the account may not be active, the funds until it has cheats to the government belongs to the depositor, who can either arising from a coma or some long foreign trip could come back and claim their funds. And since it is not an administrative burden any longer, and the risk of cheating from the fund or accessing these funds or defrauding the fund should, from the very beginning, should have fallen on the banks themselves and not on the depositor. So I'm seeking the confirmation then from the bank, from the BOG. Is it not then appropriate in the circumstances, in all the circumstances, that and wise that the government and the parliament move to put in place concrete laws and regulation to prevent this from recurring? As in the case of Barbados, a cap has been made, but the cap is no longer, not even the cap is necessary. The fact is that it should not be, because those funds should remain untouched and secured and should no longer represent a risk to the bank itself.
And that's Anthony Hilton, Western St. Andrew MP.
Now, Dr. Lewis responded by saying that there are already provisions on the law.
The state of affairs is that there is a legal framework that allows a customer who has not interacted with their funds to retrieve their funds after 15 years. And there are mechanisms and instruction that will guide the customer so they can access those funds. One. Two, there are legal obligations for banks to ensure that they put in place mechanisms that allow them to manage fraud risk, including internal fraud. There are legal obligations for banks to notify immediately the supervisor if there is an event at the bank that causes it to lose funds in a manner that's not consistent with its normal operating business, including fraud. There are no charges for dormant account fees, and the supervisor has evaluated every bank and assured itself that each of them have mechanisms to electronically verify whether or not an account is accessed by their staff in real time. So I would want to know what precisely would be the mischief that is still left, for which which would need to be addressed via legislative amendments. That's so.
May I follow up with a question? So, could you clarify, Deputy Governor, the nature of the legal obligation devolving on the banks that now exist? And may I ask that in the event that it is breached for any reason, is the remedy purely regulatory, or can the depositor have a cause of action against the bank?
All right, so a breach of the Banking Services Act in relation to the obligation to ensure that they're operating in a safe and sound manner, which would be the case if an account of a customer is being accessed in a manner that is not consistent with its operating procedures. There are sanctions that are in the Banking Services Act, in the schedules, that would treat with a licensee who is operating in an unsafe and unsound manner. There are specific guidance notes which have been issued to the industry which require them to have the mechanisms and the governance arrangements to ensure that their entity is not being used as a mechanism to commit crime. When a staff member is involved in internal fraud, there are actions that the bank itself will take, that's a licensee, and there are also actions that the police will have to be brought in to take, because it is also a criminal activity. So there would be several lines of sanctions as deemed appropriate for the specific details of the case at hand. If it is a widespread breach in the systems and the structures of the bank, then a fine of the bank would be appropriate, of the licensee would be appropriate. If it is a mischief was or a deficiency that was exploited by a staff member that is peculiar to that system but has only occurred once, then perhaps the action of the board of the bank to dismiss or have the officer dismissed and handed over to the police would be deemed appropriate. In all instances, they are required to report to the bank under Section 39 of the Banking Services Act. So there will be never a matter where a customer account has been treated with inappropriately that the supervisor would not be made aware and made aware in writing.
And that's Dr. G.D. Lewis. He is the Deputy Governor in the Financial Institutions Supervisory Division at the BOJ. And before him, West St. Andrew MP Anthony Hilton. And Mr. Hilton also asked whether 15 years is too short a time to classify an account as dormant.
As you have done the surveys for the fees in the banking sector in the region and perhaps beyond, have the BOJ done any study or any survey on the dormancy fees and the length of time in which the fees, before those fees are classified as dormancy fee? And I ask this question because it has been pointed out that and it was more urgent when the fees were being collected, wiping out the account. In many instances where people are there saving for their funeral and all of that, they go back, and when they go back, it will be totally wiped out. So it was very urgent to stop that charging on the account. And the theft issue is being minimized, I'm told. But then there's a broader policy question as to whether the 15 years is not in keeping with best practice, and that shorter periods of time before it's classified are more the norm than exist in Jamaica. Do you have a view on that, Governor?
Okay, so no, we haven't done a study like that. But what I can say is that there's a difference between what in practice is termed as a dormant account as against what is an unclaimed monies account. So unclaimed monies account can include the dormant account by virtue of the timeline applied. So the timeline for unclaimed monies is 15 years and over, no activity on the account. In our code of conduct, based on interactions with the banking sector in Jamaica, the period that typically applies to the classification of dormant account is 6 months, not less than 6 calendar months, where you have no activity whatsoever on the account. But no study done in terms of timelines that apply to the classification of dormancy, the label dormancy.
And that's Celise McCullough. She is the Deputy Governor and General Counsel at the BOJ. And before her, West St. Andrew MP Anthony Hilton. And they were speaking during Thursday's sitting of Parliament's Economic and Production Committee meeting.
You know, Sanjay,
yes.
This issue of dormant accounts, I think that they were exploring a lot about the loopholes that used to exist. Mm-hmm. For theft or for fraud generally, but I heard really there at the end, and I know that we didn't carry everything.
Yes,
but that it's really just 6 months for an account to become dormant.
Yeah, I find that time frame is a little short, but what I'm happy about, and they did indicate, is that they now have systems in place that you do not, to remove the administrative burden that the banks previously would have to do. And this excuse now that they have to do the administrative part of it, and that's why they were charging, that now has been removed because it's all digitized. So that's a good move.
Yes, but you see, the reason I mentioned that, and I
Yes.
mean, I would have loved to follow this whole thing, and it's important to people, what is happening here. But I had an account which became dormant after the bank started taking out some charges. I had not read the fine line, and the account went into a negative position, and then it became dormant.
Yes.
Then they started putting the dormant thing, and I wonder how many accounts have suffered that. Mr. Hilton mentioned towards the end there in the conversation that there are some people who had saved for whatever reason, and then these charges began to apply, and then the account became dormant. So it's a very interesting issue. And I wonder whether all banks, also the other thing I didn't know, whether all banks had the same policy.
Yep. And
when the account became dormant.
And then the other question is, what's the process to inform individuals when their account is close to be moved to dormant status? Because that is also important, because you have people who will have their accounts, but they, save the money and then they forget about it, or they're not checking up on it as they should. And especially with this 6-month time frame before the account becomes dormant, it's important that we know the process where and how individuals are notified.
Yes.
Yeah? Anyways, we have a discussion next with the Minister with responsibility for the environment, Matthew Simuda. The plastic bag ban, it has been in effect for quite some time. And he is going to speak with us. We're going to take the break, Books. So let's take the break and come back, and then we'll have the Minister.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
It's 7:02.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
I stay locked into Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican.
I tune into the Olympics, but I'm always busy. What have to know when Sharika Jackson beat Chakari?
She's storming to victory here. Watch the clock. This is so fast.
Brother, I have to see every notification for the Olympics. Me, we want to hear every run.
The Jamaican's coming. He's closing. What a performance.
Every jump and every fling.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is
live. Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while I'm driving,
Thompson Hera from 60 odd, moving away, and she gets the victory.
She's jogging, or at work,
Hurry, the race is about to start.
we can't miss a beat.
Oh, me?
Because we keep it locked.
To the only station for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
90 FM.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paint's 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
This is a public service announcement from the JPS. JPS is advising motorists that due to extensive repairs being carried out on transmission poles and the use of heavy equipment in the Bogwork Gorge, the gorge will remain closed until 10 p.m. today, Friday, July 19th. JPS apologizes for the inconvenience and thanks you for your patience and understanding.
The Jamaica Observer is always ahead. But did you know we're also number one by far? With over 18 million page views on our website, over 800,000 followers on Instagram, and a following of over 500,000 followers on Twitter.
We're tapping into an audience like no other.
And the numbers don't lie. Contact the Jamaica Observer team today to reach your target audience. Give us a call at 470-9172 to advertise with us.
The number one by far.
Jamaica, it's here again. Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Phosphorage. Open Sundays.
Reggae Sumfest is back July 14 to 20. Get ready to turn up the heat and volume on Nationwide 90 FM as we broadcast live from Reggae Sumfest. Nationwide's broadcast kicks off at 8 p.m. on night 1 and night 2 for the Reggae Sumfest. That's 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Tune in as we capture the electrifying atmosphere of the Caribbean's largest reggae festival.
These rows of flames are catching a fire.
We'll bring you exclusive interviews with top artists, chat with excited patrons, and describe the hottest performances. Whether you're at the festival or vibing at home, Nationwide 90 FM has you covered. So don't miss a beat or a rhythm when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM at 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Experience the ultimate vibe and get your reggae fix with Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Downsound Entertainment, Loud Fashion, Sandals Resorts International, Hospital Montego Bay, Fairview Medical and Dental, Grand Palladium, El Paso, and Grace Foods.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 Gas Promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
The women were not to be outdone as 24 hours after Bolt won the men's 100 meters. 21-year-old Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce decimated a stacked field to win the women's race. In the process, she captured Jamaica's 9th gold medal in Olympic history.
And it's a fair start. Simpson down on the inside, Lauren Williams, and here comes Fraser. And Fraser of Jamaica running away from the field to win it.
Fraser-Pryce admits she was inspired by Bolt's performance.
Most people weren't expecting me to come out here and do something. So with that in mind, I know it wasn't do or die because nobody expected anything. So I didn't have to go out there and prove to anybody, just to myself. And I went out there and execute properly as my coach told me to. Because I was having a bit of problem with the reaction times. So I worked on that and then I just come out here and do my best.
Did Bolt's big performance last night inspire you or your Jamaican teammates in this one?
Yes, and the fact that Asafa is my training partner, I also came here to represent him. It's just crazy, amazing. I mean, all love to Jamaica. I mean, the support has been tremendously.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 Gas Promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
Well, phase 4 of the ban on single-use plastic took effect on July 1. This phase of the ban, which should have been implemented in June, targets single-use plastic food containers and microplastics in cosmetic and personal care products.
It marks a significant step towards regulating plastics from manufacture to disposal. For more on this phase of the ban, we are joined by Minister with responsibility for the environment, Senator Matthew Samuda. Welcome, Minister.
Sanjay. Good evening, Franklin.
Good evening, Minister.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. So, Minister, talk to us now. In this phase of this implemented phase of the ban, what now will we see? What changes will we now see?
Well, there are two primary focuses of this ban, of this phase rather of the ban. And the first, which is the newest element of it, is that we have targeted microplastic beads, which are found in many personal care products. So there's deodorants or face soaps, etc. Which are these small beads that are often labeled as scrubs. We will stop importation of these items. And just to backtrack just a little bit, just so that your listeners understand, what we've entered now is the implementation phase. So when an order is issued in Jamaica, there's a particular phase of implementation, meaning you have to advise the World Trade Organization formally. You give lead time for products that were ordered before the ban took effect, and you start your public education phase. So the implementation phase actually means that the product gradually dries up. It's not a light switch where you switch a light switch today and suddenly there are no plastic bags or no styrofoam tomorrow, which is what you'd have experienced with the first few phases. So just to indicate to citizens that what you've done is entered the implementation phase.
Yeah. And
So, Minister, we said now you were mentioning deodorants and so on. Can you explain us a little bit? What are you banning? What particular products and microplastics in cosmetics and personal care products?
So this phase of the ban, Franklin, targets two categories of products. The first category of products is personal care products with added microbeads, meaning plastic beads that form scrubs and textures and that sort of thing. No sewage system on Earth pulls out these microbeads, meaning that these microbeads end up in soil, they end up in nearshore environment, they end up in rivers. So we've decided in Jamaica that for human health and for environmental health, it is in our interest to stop the importation and distribution of these items. And just so citizens understand, none of these items are produced in Jamaica. So no manufacturing jobs are at risk. What we've said is, regardless of whichever the brand of personal care products that you're interested in, we're not going to allow those brands to add microbeads to the products that come to Jamaica, because they're neither good for human health or environmental health. So that's one category of products that we're dealing with. The second category is a little more visible, a little more understood by most of the populace. And these are the plastic lunch boxes. So one should recall that in 2019, we banned the polystyrene expanded foam, which is commonly referred to as styrofoam lunch boxes. Mm-hmm. And for about 9 months, with our trade assessments, we had nothing but paper-based alternatives in the market. Fast forward to where we are today, you have many plastic alternatives. So yes, you cut styrofoam, but what the practical implementation of the policy caused was that there were plastic alternatives that replaced plastic, which was never the intention. Because these items are non-recyclable. And that needs to be understood by most people. Because people say, well, what about plastic bottles, which I can come to in a second? But what we have focused on is plastics, which are all non-biodegradable, but those which are non-recyclable. So the plastics which are non-recyclable, we're taking a gradual approach to remove them from our waste stream. Mm-hmm. And that is what we have focused on with the lunchbox containers. There are sufficient alternatives in the market with the paper-based alternatives, and that is what we're asking citizens to use.
Part of the challenge, Minister, and we can go as far back as when the initial, the first phase of the ban was implemented in 2019. The issue that some individuals have complained about is to find an alternative option to specific things that have been banned. And the complaint is, why are we not seeing more promotion of alternate consumption items to prevent Jamaicans from going to the underground economy, so to speak, to get those items that they really need?
So Sanjay, I can't do marketing for any business, right? But there are 17 distributors that I'm aware of that sell the paper-based and recyclable and biodegradable alternatives to what is being banned by way of lunch boxes. These companies, I'm sure, will step up to ensure that all of the market is aware of what is available. But the government cannot also shy away from its responsibility to say, well, the reality is these plastic items are a problem. They shouldn't be in our waste stream. And what we have done is said, we acknowledge this problem, but we will take action.
And let me flip it then, because government has a responsibility to enforce. And if you go downtown, Minister, in some places, plastic bags are still being sold. Plastic bags are still being distributed. So there's clearly a need to have new strategies for enforcement. Is this being considered?
So 47 companies have been prosecuted for breaches of the plastic ban since 2019 January. But the problem is that the fine was $50,000. A little later this year, as the Prime Minister would have announced during his budget, these fines will move to $5 million. I can assure you there is no economic case for selling plastic bags, styrofoam, or plastic lunchbox cases where the fine is $5 million. So we expect that as the fines start to match the economic risk and the environmental risk, that you will see greater compliance. Even though, by the way, Jet will tell you, when it comes to the International Coastal Cleanup Day, they're seeing very few plastic bags, very few styrofoam containers. We have achieved significant reduction in use of these items.
Minister, before we go back over there, I just want to come back to the microplastics in cosmetics and personal care products. How do people know what are the products they should be using after the ban becomes implemented? In fact, the ban should be in effect now. How do people know those products?
It is in effect now. Just to note that the ban and the relative orders under the Trade Act and the NRCA Act are indeed in effect. I've seen varying things in the media which I found rather odd. But the ban is indeed in effect.
Yes.
And the distributors and customs and the other stakeholders that stop the flow are very clear on the fact that the ban is in place. Right? So I'm not going to get into the mischief.
But I'm talking about the consumer now. How does the consumer...
The consumer won't have the options available to them. So how we've structured the ban in every phase is to cut supply, not necessarily to cut demand. Because the cost of cutting demand in any regulatory environment is much higher than cutting supply. Because you'll always have less suppliers than you have less persons demanding. So what we've focused on, Franklin, is dealing with the companies that either produce, import, or distribute, or retail these items. Because that's a much easier space to enforce than trying to deal with 3 million citizens who may or may not know what they want or may not agree with your policy. We focus on the 20 or 30 persons that are involved in the industry, and that has allowed us to achieve policy success, which according to IDB has been massively successful, according to the World Bank in their studies of our environmental performance will tell you that our plastic policies are working.
But the point that Franklin raised, Minister, I think is relevant, because while Jamaicans can quickly identify single-use plastic bags, they may not be able to identify the microplastics in cosmetic and personal care products. And you have people who are still bringing in these items, just as the example I gave you with the plastic bags. So from your end, the public education is important. Are we going to see that happening so that Jamaicans can know when you talk about microplastics in cosmetic, they know what you're talking about?
Well, on the subject of public education, I think you would agree that MedJC does a fair bit with your station, and we assume that to be effective. So that's one. But on the other issue, and just to understand, the trade has 17,000 points of sale, but really about 100 distributors. If you enforce and manage your 100 distributors well, you don't have problems within the trade. And that's standard regardless of which industry you look at.
Okay, Minister, I want to go back also now to the lunch boxes and so on. Who makes what proportion of it is imported? What is locally manufactured?
100% is imported, frankly. I think that
100%.
100% of plastic lunch boxes are made abroad, and it affects no Jamaican jobs. So this policy is good for Jamaicans, good for the environment.
Minister, I just want to ask whether with the resources that are available, whether any manufacturer or potential manufacturer has approached the ministry, maybe not your ministry, but your colleague over at industry, to consider production of, for example, lunch boxes and so on. It would seem to a layman like me just looking on to say, but these things would be pretty easily manufactured in Jamaica. Has anybody approached when this thing was coming up to say, let me see whether we can get in on this as a business?
So in 2019, when we did the expanded polystyrene reform and started the process on plastic bags, we established a special window at DBJ for manufacturers who would be interested in going down this road, where we would have cut insurance rates, made access easier. We've never had an inquiry.
Why?
Which is
Minister,
it's focus on today though is just the environmental impact, which is hundreds of thousands of pounds of plastic being removed from our waste stream, which is a victory because it is listed by UNEP as one of the triple planetary crises.
Minister, how many of these boxes, lunch boxes, these boxes, because they seem to be increasing in use, but how many of them and how many cups, you have an idea how many, you must have an idea, how many are used each week, each month?
No man, I focus on tons, because that's what I'm asked to focus on, based on what goes into the waste stream. Now, these items represent approximately 1% of our waste stream. We are going to remove that 1% because they're not recyclable, they're not biodegradable, and many of them are carcinogenic because they interact with hot food. So we've made a decision from a policy perspective. We're not going to allow our people to be exposed to the health risk. We're not going to allow our environment to be exposed to the environmental risk.
The matter of...
No, I'm all for it in a minister. I just wondered whether... I'm totally for it, but I'm just wondering whether... our manufacturing sector...
The manufacturing sector, frankly, is not involved. It's a distributive sector because it's imported.
Yes.
You mentioned, Minister, also plastic bottles earlier, and that is a major problem. And NEPA indicated that only 20% of bottles manufactured are being recycled. And if you look in many of our drains, you will see a build-up. Why haven't we seen more effort to get Jamaicans to utilize the deposit refund scheme?
So I'm not sure which document you're looking at and which days it's labeled at. But in 2016, when we took over the government, it was 6% of plastic bottles that were being recycled each month. I'm happy to report that as of last month, you had exceeded 35%. And that is based on the efforts of Recycling Partners Jamaica Limited. That's based on the efforts of Recycling Jamaica Limited and about 3 or 4 other small companies, right? But ultimately, the government has been supporting the recycling effort of the plastic bottle manufacturers, which has moved us to 35%, which is significantly higher than most of the region. Jamaica expects to get to 70% of bottles produced entering the recycling stream within 2 years, which will be in line with what we expect to be the international targets established under the INC for a plastics treaty. The INC is the International Negotiating Committee set up by UNEP, which countries are working through the treaty now. It's a plastic version of the climate agreement of Paris, right? And we're working through the agreements in terms of how we reduce, but also how we ensure recycling standards are standard. But we have moved from 6 to 35% during our time in government.
Well, Minister, what is going to caused that push from 35 to 70% in 2 years? Is it not true that the price for the deposit is just too low to encourage the industry that can take up far more of the plastics?
Well, the first thing that's going to encourage it is that the government would have announced by way of the Prime Minister's budget presentation in March that we will separate all waste at government facilities. And government facilities are heavily populated during the days, and there's heavy consumption in these spaces. So all government buildings before the end of the year will start to separate its waste, which I'm sure, frankly, we can assume will, make a major difference. There's also acknowledgement been made for the fact that a new recycling facility has been opened in Manchester by way of the Recycling Partners of Jamaica Limited, which started as a partnership with the government and the private sector. So there are a number of strategies being employed that will move us from 30 to 70% within 2 years.
So can you speak to the deposit price?
Everybody will be no, we're not at that space where that's required at this juncture. There's no economic study that would tell you that.
But the problem then, Minister, is you need something as encouragement to get Jamaicans to want to recycle those plastic bottles.
There's great encouragement.
And for people to go out there and pick them up too, because there's an industry, there's an old industry in that.
Gentlemen, there has been 600% increase in compliance and support from citizens over the last 8 years. The strategies that have led to that are the strategies that we will employ, which is increased access to recycling depots. It is increased capacity of our recycling industry. It is increased sort of waste at source, which is what the government will do this year. I guarantee you we will beat the international targets long before it becomes law.
When did you say, Minister, that the percentage is what, 35? It's at 35%?
It's 35% as of last month.
Okay.
Of all bottles.
And you expect to get to 70 in 2 years?
Yes.
The matter also of separating our garbage is something that is not widely practiced within households here in Jamaica. And it's something that needs to be done. But when you look at it practically, even if we separate the garbage from a household level, we don't have the facilities in place that, the separation can continue right to the end. Is there a long-term plan to deal with this issue?
Absolutely, which is why I think it needs to be acknowledged that the Recycling Partners of Jamaica would have opened a facility at Nago Head maybe about 6 months ago. It also needs to be acknowledged that, as I said, they will open a new facility in Manchester in about 2 months. I believe they may have broken ground already. Waste management takes industrial capacity. That capacity is being put in by the bottle manufacturers in partnership with the government. And I don't want to scoff at that. The fact that you've got a 600% increase, which moves us ahead of the rest of the region in plastic manufacturing, should not be scoffed at. That's all I'm saying.
So when you start low, it's easy to get those percentages. But I recognize
New York wasn't at 20%.
It's a significant
New York
move.
was not at 20% when we were at 6%. And we're at 35 and they're not at 48. So
significant,
we need to also
but
be very clear. And I
Minister, you mentioned
we intend to beat New York.
Okay, you mentioned the fees, the fines on the plastic bags earlier, the scandal bags and so on. What's the situation now with how far are you and your colleague, Minister of Local Government, gone with regard to the anti-litter fines, which is part of this whole plastic thing as well?
It's not part of the plastic space, right? Because the plastic space is relative to what goes into the waste stream. The Minister of Local Government is focused with collecting the waste. I know it may sound strange to listeners, but ultimately, my decisions relate to what goes into the waste stream. The Minister of Local Government determines how much he can collect based on the funds that he has, which is unfortunate and unfair to him. But the reality is you have to have enough cubic feet rolling to be able to collect the cubic feet of garbage that we generate. So last month, I believe, he would have completed the procurement with delivery of 50 new garbage trucks, which is major. And I know he has a procurement underway, which will see the delivery of another 50 later this year, which will significantly close the gap in the lack of cubic feet or rolling stock that you need to collect the garbage. But my focus is really around the waste stream and what elements enter that waste stream.
Yes. So you don't see a connection with a man deciding to throw a bottle or a lunch bag through his window with what you are doing?
No, Franklin, I wouldn't say that, and I think it would be unfair to assess what I said to say that. What I would suggest to you is that it's very strange that a country where for the last 50 years in primary school we have sung bits of paper has become a nasty country. It's a very strange phenomenon. And we will have to analyze the culture that has led to us becoming such a nasty people. Because we are discarding waste in a very haphazard manner. That no matter how many trucks you buy, no matter what plastic policy you put in place, will leave us sitting as a dirty country. So there are a lot of work to do on the public education side, a lot of work to do in building a coalition that says as a country we want to be clean. There's no doubt about it. But I don't want to confuse the issue of removing plastics from a consumption perspective in a way that ends up in the waste stream from a waste disposal issue, because they're two very different issues.
Yeah. Fair enough. Always a pleasure speaking with you, Minister. Thank you as always for your time.
Thank you, Sanjay. And I just want to explore one question, if you'd allow me, Sanjay.
Yes, sure.
Franklin, are you in Kingston or are you in Centre? Because it's unusual to hear you on the radio in this way.
Minister, I'm in your...
Welcome back to Kingston, Franklin.
I'm in St. Anne, Minister.
Okay, that makes more sense. But I hope you will tell Sanjay that all 39 of the schools in Northeast St. Anne will have recycling efforts as of September 1. All the best, sir.
All right, Minister, you got that one in.
Yeah?
You got that one in.
Indeed.
Okay,
indeed.
Minister.
That's Minister with responsibility for the environment, Senator Matthew Samuda. We're going to take the break. When we come back, it's time to hear from you. We're opening the phone lines. It's 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, 630-9374, and 618-8255. We take the break and then we'll hear from you.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to SportsMax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
Set, go!
Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number one. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old. Listen, drink responsibly.
This is a public service announcement from the Jamaica Public Service. The JPS is advising motorists that due to extensive repairs being carried out on transmission poles and the use of heavy equipment in the Bogwalk Gorge, the gorge will remain closed until 10 p.m. today, Friday, July 19. JPS apologizes for the inconvenience and thanks you for your patience and understanding.
I stay locked into Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican.
I tune into the Olympics, but I'm always busy.
What have to know when Sharika Jackson beat Shakari?
She's storming to victory here. Watch the clock. This is so fast.
Brother, I have to see every notification for the Olympics. Me, we want to hear every run.
The Jamaican's coming. He's closing. What a performance.
Every jump and every fling.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is
Live. Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while I'm driving,
Thompson here from 60 odd, moving away, and she gets the victory.
she's jogging. Or at work,
Hurry, the race is about to start.
we can't miss a beat.
Oh, me?
Because we keep it locked.
To the only station for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
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 90 FM.
It's 7:35 here on Nationwide. It's time to hear from you. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight.
And we're going to the phone lines. Franklin, we have Barrington. Hi, Barrington. Good evening.
Good evening to you both, Mr. McKnight and Sanjay.
Hi, evening.
Yeah, man, I'm calling from St. Elizabeth.
How is it down there?
Barrington.
Northern side of St. Elizabeth, I am. I'm not in the south basin.
How did you fare with Beryl?
Well, we don't get no damage to that extent on the north side. You know.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
The south is
What town are you near, Barry?
Santa Cruz. I'm in between Santa Cruz and Black River.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but my reason for calling, you see?
Yes.
2 point here is that I know the list that JTS posted. My community is not on that list for restoration. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we are in between two community, Cornwall and Dry Harbor. And both community have been restored since last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get any reason why ours community don't connected.
I don't know if you were able to hear the conversation what we had with Winsome Callum.
No,
One of the things that she indicated is that you will have situations like those because of how the distribution is done. So you may be fed from another supply, and there are issues along the line which would prevent you from getting power. That was her explanation when we asked her about situations like these.
What community are you from, Barrington? What's the name of your community?
Holland Mountain District.
Which one?
Holland Mountain.
Oh, Holland Mountain District. And two communities that sandwich you already have electricity.
Yes.
Okay.
And to our knowledge here, we haven't got any damage where any broken pole or breaking line. So since it passed us up and down, I don't know the excuse for that. As Sanjay have said, we don't fall in that category to say what we connect on is as a result of probably damage.
Yes.
The main pass us, we are like the T, the leg part of the T.
Yes.
So you have the electricity down and above us. So I don't know why we don't get our restoration as yet.
The only thing that we can do for you is to follow Barrington. I've written it down. You indicated it's the Holland Mountain District.
The main concern is that I've seen most of the community that I am aware of on the list, and I haven't seen ours. So I don't know if it is an
oversight
or what, but I haven't seen it on the list.
Is it that you've seen communities adjacent to yours on that list?
Yes, man, sure. Like I said, I just mentioned two, Dry Harbor and Cornwall. Cornwall, Paradise, Carisbrooks, all those communities are pretty close. Ours, Holland Village, well, we know for sure that Holland Village got some damage.
But Holland Mountain didn't get any damage, and you haven't seen it on the list, and you don't have any. How you manage Barrington? How do you manage you and the people in that little district?
I'm telling you, I'm pretty close 50, and I haven't seen anything like this before because we are suffering. There is no electricity, the heat, and there is a nuisance, flies. Not just the mosquito, but flies also are taking over, and it's just hard. It's hard.
And it must be frustrating also.
Very, very much frustrating, trust me. So right now I'm on the outside talking to you, and my two hand is working like a fan.
Wow.
Yeah.
We thank you for reaching us, and as Sanjay says that most we can do is follow up. I can't even give you any word of assurance.
Yes, sir, I would appreciate that because I don't know why our community is not listed there. I really don't know why.
Yeah.
And that is a major concern for me.
Yeah, it's a question for Winsome Callum and her communications team. Would love to know what's happening with Holland Mountain District. As he indicated, communities close by, they have received, but he hasn't. Yeah, so that's important. All right, thank you, Barrington. We have Chris. All the best. Thank you. Chris, good evening.
Yes, sir. Not nice.
Good evening, Chris.
How are you?
God is good to me, sir.
It must be good to you, brother. And he's good to me, too.
Beautiful.
Right. The truth is, we're going to radio, but we're not going night now because I know radio time is expensive. Why you never lock up the record man who will offer you the bread? Remember that man?
Which man? Which one of them?
The record man. Me. And me when put the story and your comment on it on your page at the time. The record man will offer me 1,000 bribe to take up the vehicle up halfway to the road. And I said, no, you can't just lock up everybody, so you have to have a witness. All right, me and you meet in a Brownsville market tomorrow, we talk.
All right, sir.
You know how you know how. But anyway.
All right, Chris, but this is public radio, so me and you can talk otherwise.
No,
right?
man, me know that was public, you know. You wrote on it, you know. You wrote on it.
Yes. True.
Are your friend when me and you book up in a Brownsville market?
Right,
all police bowing this is.
I know, man.
Yeah, but listen to me now. Two things. I just want, I know some of my streets in my district at Retreat Downstone is out of light. We have about 4 funerals every year. 5 somebody dead one time. And there's a particular place. And I told them they put up one transformer one time and then come take down it back. And near to the basic school at Retreat, here we are without that transformer, one blow up the other day. Even now, my washing machine is running at a lower degree. That the court people said, don't use the machine, stop using it, and so forth. But listen, I hear Minister of Agriculture, Floyd Green, have the seeds back in place for Clarendon, Manchester, and which one? St. Elizabeth. Right. What I call you to talk about is that you must understand that there's some mash up bad. So people don't have no time to plant no seed. So you see like on a center where a little bit safe. And some part of Clarendon and some part down at Trelawney give some of the seed in this area. So it is the thing work like a bag of airport, you know. How you see how the wind blow, the bag show you where the wind is blowing. So they need to now send some of the seeds in this area. We never so much destruction. So we now can feed the people of St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth cannot always be feeding us. We need to be feeding them. And
my brother, I've heard people asking the question, and I'm representing it to Minister Green, asking the question about the equitability. How equitable is the distribution of the seeds and the benefits that people are going to get? Because I was just speaking with a gentleman this afternoon from Abuka, in St. Ann, in South St. Ann, and he was telling
You
me
know
about a
where, man,
woman.
it's a Xavier community. Xavier.
Yeah,
Xavier Main.
Xavier Main's community. And he was telling me about a woman who lost a deep freeze of chicken. They still don't have electricity up there, by the way. And
Right.
she can't get back into the business because she has no money to purchase, just like Mr. Morgan was saying, no money to purchase any new stocks of chicken. She didn't sell that, she had to throw it away. And what sort of benefit, what sort of assistance will she be able to get from the Ministry of Agriculture? And how will the ministry know about those people? And that's my concern.
And the truth is, my friend, the truth is, I operate a little bar and restaurant with I get certified. I am now compliant in terms of my health certification. I went through and I did everything, and I can cook food. The other day when the Prime Minister opened the water thing for retreat, when he went to Minard, if you see the video, he said, the soup nicely, man, and me cook it. Me personally cook it.
Oh, and you're a big chef.
Yes, man. My mother teach me. My mother teach me. And me, right now, me lose a good amount of meat. Sitting. But then going to say, through me a pensioner. They not give me back nothing. We now work 2 times again, so me no want. But we have 4 funeral line up around here, light gone around here. But we wasn't so devastated in terms of
the damage.
But your bottom line, because we have to leave you, but your bottom line is that
the bottom
people who have not been devastated also need assistance. That's what you're saying.
In Miguel now, if you give us something, make we can feed the people when I send to Elizabeth, meanwhile they must fix up them roof. We have fix up them food.
We have to leave
well
it there.
taken, sir.
Thank you as always.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you for hearing me.
No worries. All the best. We have David. Good evening, David.
Good
evening, gentlemen.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Wonderful.
Just two quick matters.
Yes.
We've looked at the dormant accounts.
I'm not hearing David so well.
We've looked at the dormant accounts in the banks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was much discussion about the charges which the banks have raised. But my question is, have these accounts been generating interest over the period? Or the money is just sitting there?
My understanding, and Franklin, you probably can correct me, when it goes to dormant status, it no longer generates interest. That's my understanding.
That's my understanding. There's no activity on it. So it doesn't come through with it. The money is just sitting there.
Oh, but the money is available to the bank, though.
It is.
Yes, because after a time, it moves over to the government.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just needed some clarification on that.
Yeah, so there's no interest, but at the same time, what the bank is saying, well, no, there's no charge.
No fee.
No fee.
Right.
The bank is not going to charge you anything. The bank is not going to associate any fee once it goes into dormant status.
Yes. Yeah. All right. There's another quick matter which I think can be discussed after the whole matter of the post-burial situation is settled.
Yes.
But I just want to know what is happening about Kingston and St. Andrew, the KCMC, the fact that we have a single mayor for Kingston and St. Andrew, yet still we have 2 custodies.
Yes, but that's a long-standing situation, you know. You mean you want a mayor for Kingston and a mayor for St. Andrew?
No, I'm just wondering, you know, if we have 2 of one, why can't we have 2 of the
we
other?
don't need any more government and any more bureaucratic. I want bureaucrats for the place. Believe me. And the KCMC
it works.
is enough.
It works.
Yes, but why do you have 2 custodians then? Don't you really need them?
Well, why we have, there are some people who might say why we have custodians at all, but never mind. That's another matter. Yes. Another matter.
Yes. And then now, out in St. Catherine, you have a mayor for Portmore. I have a mayor for St. Catherine. 2 mayors out there, but one custos.
Yes, I
Yeah,
understand. I
because
understand
remember,
your point you're making.
Portmore in this case is not a parish. Well, as yet, if the plan is to move it to parish status, so that's why you would have the one custody.
Yes.
But remember the changes that took place when they gave Portmore municipality status, and hence the need for the mayor.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're talking about that in the grill, but we'll come to that another day.
All right. Okay, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
All the best.
Yes, sir.
Yes. We have Anthony. Good evening, Anthony.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, Mr. McKnight.
Good evening, Anthony.
Yeah, long time I not talk with you people. First of all, you people are on any of the radio station band?
Yes, 90.7.
Yes, 90, all
Yeah,
across
man.
90.
It depends on where you are at, but the 90 band. So it depends on where you're at.
No, because I used to get your radio station band 2 band. That thing on 90.5. I don't remember for 90.9 until me start getting for 90.3. Here over here in Montego Bay.
Right.
So what you listen on now in Montego Bay? You listen on the FM band? Or you listening
from the woman come
Yes.
and mash up the place. Me don't know radio to listen to one. Well, me have radio, but me can't find none of you.
One of the things, and I heard Cliff was explaining it on Cliff Hughes Online, he indicated that one of the major towers that we have was damaged during the hurricane, and sections of Montego Bay, I gather, is also affected by it.
Montego Bay and Trelawney.
Yes, in that general area.
also.
Yes.
Yeah, right now, it's either me I use my phone or me I watching up on my TV.
Yes.
Only that's how me can get it.
We're working on it, though. Don't worry about it. We're working on it. We'll be back up very soon.
As we would say, any way you watch us, just watch
Yes.
us and listen us.
Another thing, the people them who pay the extortion fee to get their light on, right?
Yes.
How those people can get the light on for those people and JPS that take so long to give them it back? But I really like to know.
Look, we have so many questions about that. Yesterday, when I heard 300,000, upwards of 300,000 that individuals are paying to get back light, I'm like, what? There are so many questions to be asked, and people are fast tracked. If you pay your money, if you have your money up front,
you get the light. So
sorry, say that again, Sanjay.
So yesterday we were told that we spoke with the JPS, and after that conversation, we were told by credible sources, including MPs, who indicated that people in their communities have said that the individuals have been coming around asking for money to put the light on, and what the community members have been doing is going around to trump up money, even going to the MP, asking MP to contribute to the fund to get the light up and running.
My God.
Yeah. But I heard them. Some of them get the light.
Yeah, they do. One person said that.
No man, but where's JPS? What is JPS saying?
But when we
That's
spoke,
what they said.
When
they
we spoke,
don't have anybody know of any case.
That's what they
one.
said. Yes, that's what the JPS indicated. But individuals have said, not so.
Right. I heard them.
Yeah, and some have said, look, we paid it yesterday, and we get with light today, and we know it's wrong. I'm told, but look, we want the light.
So that is why I'm asking the question: why JPS don't give the people them the light? Then, if the extortionists can give them light.
No, I don't. I am Sanjay. I'm knocked over by that
Man,
story that you gave me there, but I don't believe it.
I heard one man say that at 200,000 pay.
Yeah, man.
I heard that on the radio.
I had an MP who forwarded some messages that they received from their constituents, indicating, look, we had to pay the money because we want the light.
Well, I mean, sir, you're asking that, but it just brings me around to discussion I was having with some people today, because Sanjay, one of the reasons why we are not more up in arms generally in Jamaica about this is that some of us have light and we have forgotten a lot of the other people who don't have light. After 16 days, I mean, just consider it. 16 days and people don't have electricity back.
Yeah, but
And people, it is. Go ahead.
But
Sir.
Mr. McKnight, I was talking to a friend of mine where the hurricane hit after I leave Jamaica in the state, one of the states in America, and he's saying to me that some part in the states don't have light until this time. They don't have none.
Yes, so I heard that.
So
Because
it's not that easy thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering still how JPS allow people to give the people them light and they themselves can't read.
No,
That's a question need to be answered.
I don't buy that. You know why? The question I want to ask is why were we caught so flat-footed? Why did we not prepare that the day the hurricane hit, the following day we would have arranged for the technical people we are now intending to bring in this weekend. The following day that they should be in Jamaica. Why couldn't we not have had the arrangement then, rather than 8 to 18 days later, they're going to come in? Why didn't we not plan for a worst case scenario where we would bring in technical help the following day or 2 days later or 5 days later, rather than 16 to 18 days? Why are we there? That's what I want to know.
Quickly with that last point, we want to squeeze in one other caller.
All right, cool. I'll call.
No. Finish your point quickly.
But yeah, I was about to say that I heard somebody ask the same question that Mr. McKnight just asking on the air. You know, why JPS never did put things in place so that after the hurricane they can simply get in people quick. Yeah. Somebody asked the question in our supermarket where I was.
Yes, man, my brother, it doesn't make sense, you know. And it's not even a worst case scenario we should have worked out for, because it could have been worse.
Yeah.
But why we didn't have an arrangement with the other companies to say, come in, we might need you on Thursday or Friday, right after the hurricane, and here are our arrangements, and here are our memorandum of understanding, etc. I don't know why.
Well,
never mind.
One of the things that they indicated is that they wanted to do a proper assessment first before doing anything to see
Sanjay,
the extent to the damage.
16 days later, man. It's 16 days later. It's many chickens down in the little pit. It's people's businesses that have gone bad as well.
Well, we have Dell. She's our final caller. Let's hear from Dell. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
We're good.
Good evening. I'm wonderful. Thank you, Dell.
Okay. I'm talking to say that I'm back in South Manchester. And from there, with past one thing, now we have back in Buckup on the road.
We're hardly hearing you, Dell.
Not even Buckup at JPS truck on the road.
You indicated that you're in South Manchester. Where in South Manchester?
You come in, Bailey, Old England, Ellen Street, come straight down to Windsor Ferry.
No electricity, Dell. So how are you managing? Tell us fast. How are you managing?
Candle, Mr. McKnight, candle.
My God.
Be careful with the candle, you know.
You have to be careful, yes.
Candle, Mr. McKnight, pure candle. What the amount of candle that I buy from very past until now? I'll tell you. Not even look up a JPS truck on the road that you could say we might soon get the light because we pass a truck on the road.
And you have seen your communities on the list, the JPS list? Or you haven't had a chance to look at that?
What is that, Mr. McKnight?
He was asking if you've seen your community on the list that the JPS would have published.
I don't know. So I never seen it. I never checked any list. You see, I want to send a message to Mr. Prime Minister too. I want to tell Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Chang to get out Mr. Chen, Mr. Robert Chin, the MP.
Oh.
He's doing a thing.
But he's not responsible for the electricity, though, you know.
No, that's
he might help to make noise, but
yeah.
You know.
I know, but he's not even coming and ask a question and anybody to say anything. Even before this time, you know, see him, we don't hear from him, we don't know where he is. He's not doing anything.
Or maybe in past, Dell, when probably you were not there.
No, sir. If I wasn't here in the past, I would be here when I come back.
we have to.
Sanjay sees redemption and everything there.
I like to look for the light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to leave it there.
There's no light,
yeah,
Sanjay.
I made a note of the community also. But thank you.
Mattville and
Yes.
Mansfield and Mount Oliver, no night.
Have to leave it there. We're out of time, but thank you. We made a note of it. Well, Sir Franklin, our second rodeo together. Thank you as always.
Oh man, it's good to be here with you, Sanjay. My great pleasure.
We want to say special thanks to our producer Dana Davey. We also want to say thanks to the man Boogs behind the window, or the glass I should say, and to our news.
Man.
Yes, and our news and production team led by Kara. Thank you and all the best. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I want to say special thanks also to all our contributors and those in the YouTube chat. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
I'm Franklin McKnight. Good evening.
Good evening. And this is a public service announcement from the JPS. JPS is advising motorists that due to extensive repairs being carried out on transmission poles and the use of heavy equipment in the Bog Walk Gorge, the gorge will remain closed until 10 p.m. today, Friday, July 19. JPS apologizes for the inconvenience and thanks you for your patience and understanding.